God bless us! Oh, sorry to wake you, miss, I'm sure, but you are a stranger to me. What might you be waiting here for now?
I'm waiting for somebody to show some signs of knowing that I have been invited here.
Oh, you're invited, are you? And has nobody come? Dear, dear.
And a wild-looking old gentleman came and looked in at the window, and I heard him calling out, "Nurse, there's a young and attractive female waiting in the poop. Go and see what she wants." Are you the nurse?
Yes, miss, I'm Nurse Guinness. That was old Captain Shotover, Mrs. Hushabye's father. I heard him roaring, but I thought it was for something else. I suppose it was Mrs. Hushabye that invited you, Ducky.
I understood her to do so, but really, I think I'd better go.
Oh, don't think of such a thing. If Mrs. Hushabye has forgotten all about it, well, it will be a pleasant surprise for her, won't it?
Well, it has been a very unpleasant surprise to me to find that nobody expects me.
Oh, you'll get used to it, miss. This house is full of surprises for them that don't know our ways.
Nurse, there's a hold all and a handbag on the front steps for everybody to fall over. Also a tennis racket. Who the devil left them there?
They are mine, I'm afraid.
Nurse, who is this misguided and unfortunate young lady?
She says Miss Hesse invited her, sir.
And has she no friend, no parents, to warn her against my daughter's invitation? This is a pretty sort of house, by heavens. A young and attractive lady is invited here. Her luggage is left on the steps for hours, and she herself is deposited in the poop and abandoned, tired and starving. This is our hospitality. These are our manners. No room ready, no hot water, no welcoming hostess. Our visitor is to sleep in the tool shed and to wash in the duck pond.
Now it's all right, Captain. I'll get the lady some tea, and her room shall be ready before she has finished it. Well, take off your hat, Ducky. Make yourself at home.
Ducky? Do you suppose, woman, that because this young lady has been insulted and neglected, that you have the right to address her as you address my wretched children, whom you brought up in ignorance of the commonest decencies of social intercourse?
Never mind him, Dottie.
Madam, will you favour me with your name?
My name is Ellie Dunn.
Dunn. I had a boatswain whose name was Dunn. He was originally a pirate in China. He set up as a ship's chandler with stores I have every reason to believe he stole from me. No doubt he became rich. Are you his daughter?
Oh no, certainly not. Well, I'm proud to be able to say that though my father has not been a successful man, nobody has ever had one word to say against him. I think my father is the best man I've ever known.
He must be greatly changed. Has he attained the 7th degree of concentration?
I don't understand.
Ah, but how could he with a daughter? I, madam, have 2 daughters. One of them is Mrs. Annie Hushabye, who invited you here. I keep this house. She upsets it. I desire to attain the 7th degree of concentration. She invites visitors and leaves me to entertain them. I have a second daughter who is, thank God, in a remote part of the empire with her numbskull of a husband. As a child, she thought the figurehead of my ship, the Dauntless, the most beautiful thing on earth. He resembled it. He had the same expression, wooden yet enterprising. She married him and will never set foot in this house again.
Indeed, you never were more mistaken. She is in England this very moment. Well, you have been told 3 times this week that she is coming for a year for her health. And very glad you should be, to see your own daughter again after all these years.
I am not glad. The natural term of the affection of the human animal for its offspring is 6 years. My daughter Ariadne was born when I was 46. I am now 88. If she comes, I am not at home. If she wants anything, let her take it. If she asks for me, let her be informed that I am extremely old and have totally forgotten her.
That's no talk to offer to a young lady. Here, Ducky, have some tea. Don't listen to him.
Before high heaven, they have given this innocent child Indian tea, the stuff they tan their own leather insides with.
Oh, please, I'm so tired. I should have been glad of anything.
Oh, what a thing to do. The poor lamb is ready to drop.
You shall have some of my tea.
There's a man for you. They say older he gets, the more I believe him.
Is anybody at home? Miss Ivy? Nurse? Papa? Oh, do come somebody and take in my luggage.
My gracious, it's Miss Addie, a lady Utterword. Mrs. Hushabye's sister was the one I told the captain about. Coming, miss, coming.
Oh, is that you, nurse? How are you? You don't look a day older. Is nobody at home? Where is Society? Doesn't she expect me? Where are the servants? Whose luggage is that on the steps? Where is Papa? Is everybody asleep? Oh! I beg your pardon. I suppose you are one of my nieces. Come and kiss your aunt, darling.
Oh, I am only a visitor. It is my luggage on the step.
I'll go get you some fresh tea, Ducky.
Oh, but the old gentleman said he would make some himself.
Oh, bless you. He's forgotten what he went for already. But his mind wanders from one thing to another.
Papa, I suppose.
Oh, yes, miss.
Don't be silly, nurse. Don't call me miss.
No, lovey.
I know what you must feel. This house, oh, this house. I come back to it after 23 years and it is just the same. The luggage on the steps, the servants spoilt and impossible, nobody at home to receive anybody, no regular meals, nobody ever hungry because they're always gnawing bread and butter or munching apples. And what is worse, the same disorder in ideas, in talk, in feeling. When I was a child, I was used to it. I had never known anything better, though I was unhappy and longed all the time. Oh, how I longed to be respectable, to be a lady, to live as others did, not to have to think of everything for myself. I married at 19 to escape from it. My husband is Sir Hastings Utterword, who's been governor of all the Crown colonies in succession. I have always been mistress of Government House. I have been so happy. I had forgotten that people could live like this. I wanted to see my father, my sister, my nieces and nephews. One ought to, you know. And I was looking forward to it. And now, the state of the house, the way I'm received, the casual impudence of that woman Guinness, our old nurse. Really, Hesione might at least have been here. Some preparation might have been made for me. You must excuse my going on in this way, but I am really very much hurt and annoyed and disillusioned. And if I had known it was to be this way, I wouldn't have come. I have a great mind to go away without another word.
Well, nobody has been here to receive me either. I thought I ought to go away too, but how can I let Utterword? My luggage is on the steps and the station fly has gone.
Your tea, young lady. What? Another lady? I must fetch another cup.
Papa, don't you know me? I'm your daughter.
Nonsense. My daughter's upstairs asleep.
Don't be so distressed. Have this cup of tea. He's very old and very strange. He's been just like that to me. I know how dreadful it must be. My own father is all the world to me. I'm sure he didn't mean it.
Now we are complete.
Papa, you can't have forgotten me. I'm Ariadne. I'm little Paddy Patkins. Won't you kiss me?
How can you be Ariadne? You're a middle-aged woman. Well preserved, madam, but no longer young.
But think of all the years and years I've been away. I've had to grow old like other people.
Grow out of kissing strange men. They may be striving to attain the 7th degree of concentration.
But I'm your daughter. You haven't seen me for years.
So much the worse. When our relatives are at home, we must think of all their good points, otherwise it would be impossible to endure them. But when they're away, we console ourselves for their absence by dwelling on their vices. That is how I've come to think my absent daughter Ariadne a perfect fiend. So do not try to ingratiate yourself here by impersonating her.
Ingratiating myself indeed. Very well, Papa.
I am neglecting my social duties. You remember Dunn, Billy Dunn?
Oh, do you mean that villainous sailor who robbed you?
His daughter.
Oh,
that hogwash away, do you hear?
Well, you've actually remembered about the tea. Oh, miss, he didn't forget about you after all. You have made an impression.
Youth, beauty, novelty, they're badly wanted in this house. I'm excessively old. Hesione is only moderately young. But children are not youthful.
How can children be expected to be youthful in this house? Almost before we could speak, we were filled with notions that might have been all very well for pagan philosophers of 50, but were certainly quite unfit for respectable people of any age.
You were always for respectability, Miss Addie.
Nurse, will you please remember that I am Lady Utterword, and not Miss Addie, nor Lovey, nor Darling, nor Doty. Do you hear?
Well, yes, Darky. All right. I will tell them all. They must call you my lady.
What comfort! What sense is there in having servants with no manners?
Lady Utterword, do you think Mrs. Hushabye really expects me?
Oh, don't ask me. You can see for yourself that I've just arrived, her only sister after 23 years, and it seems that I am not expected.
What does it matter whether the young lady is expected or not? She is welcome. There are beds, there is food. I will see about a room for you myself.
Oh, please, I should like... Lady Utterword, I don't know what to do. Your father persists in believing that my father is some sailor who robbed him.
You had better pretend not to notice it. My father is a very clever man, but he always forgot. And now that he is older, of course he is worse. And I must warn you that sometimes it is quite hard to feel very certain that he really forgets.
Annie, my darling, my pettikins, how long have you been here? Oh, I've been at home all the time. I was putting flowers and things in your room, and when I just sat down for a moment to try how comfortable the armchair was, I went off to sleep. Papa woke me and told me you were here. Fancy your finding no one and being neglected and abandoned. Oh, my poor love. Oh, and you brought someone with you. Introduce me.
Heartbreak, is it possible you don't know me?
Of course, I remember your face quite well. Where have we met?
Didn't Papa tell you I was coming? Oh, this is really too much.
Papa?
Yes, Papa. Our Papa, you unfeeling wretch.
Good gracious, you don't mean to say that you're Addie?
I most certainly am Addie, and I don't think I can be so changed that you would not have recognized me if you had any real affection for me. And Papa didn't even think me worth mentioning.
Oh, what a lark. Sit down. You do look a swell. Oh, you're much handsomer than you used to be. Made the acquaintance of Annie, of course. She is going to marry a perfect hog of a millionaire for the sake of her father, who's as poor as a church mouse. You must help me to stop her.
Please, Heartbreak.
My pettikins, the man is coming here today with your father to begin persecuting you. Everyone will see the state of the case in 10 minutes. So what is the use of making a secret of it?
But he is not a hog, Heartbreak. And you don't know how wonderfully good he has been to my father and how deeply grateful I am to him.
Her father is a remarkable man, Addie. His name is Mazzini Dad. Mazzini was a celebrity of some kind who knew Annie's grandparents, and they were both poets like the Brownings. And when her father came into the world, Mazzini said, "Another soldier born for freedom." So they christened him Mazzini, and he has been fighting for freedom in his quiet way ever since. That is why he's so poor.
But I'm proud of his poverty.
Oh, of course you are, my petticoat. Now, why not leave him in it and marry someone you love?
Heartbreak, are you going to kiss me or are you not?
What do you want to be kissed for?
I don't want to be kissed, but I do want you to behave properly and decently. We are sisters. We have been separated for 23 years. You ought to kiss me.
Tomorrow morning, dear, before you make up. I hate the smell of powder.
You are feeling...
Your room is ready. The sheets were damp, but I have changed them.
Oh, and what about my sheets?
Take my advice, air them. Or take them off and sleep in blankets. You shall sleep in Ariadne's old room.
Indeed, I shall do nothing of the sort. That little hoe.
She
I am entitled to the best spare room.
She married a numbskull. She told me she would marry anyone to get away from home.
You are pretending not to know me on purpose. I will leave this house.
At last! Oh, Captain Shotover, here is my father.
This? Nonsense, not a bit like him.
I will not be ignored and pretend to be somebody else. I will have it up with Papa this instant. Excuse me.
How good of you to come, Mr. Dunn. You don't mind Papa, do you? He's as mad as a hatter, you know, but quite harmless and extremely clever. You will have some delightful talks with him.
I hope so. So here you are, Ellie dear. I must thank you, Mrs. Hushabye, for your kindness to my daughter. I'm afraid she would have had no holiday if you had not invited her.
Not at all. Very nice of her to come and attract young people to the house for us.
I'm afraid Ellie's not interested in young men, Mrs. Hushabye. Her taste is on the graver, solider side.
Won't you take off your overcoat, Mr. Dunn? You'll find a cupboard for hats and coats and things in the corner of the hall.
Oh, yes, thank you. I had better...
The old brute! Who? Who? Him, he, it. Oh, graver, solider taste indeed.
You don't mean that you are speaking like that of my father?
Oh, I was, you know I was.
Well, leave your house at once.
If you attempt it, I will tell your father why.
How could you treat a visitor like this, Mrs. Hushabye?
Oh, I thought you were going to call me Hazari.
Certainly not now.
Very well. I'll tell your father.
Oh,
If you turn a hair, if you take his part against me and against your own heart for a moment, I will give that born soldier of freedom a piece of my mind that will stand him on his selfish old head for a week.
sorry, my father said...
Ellie, Marion has come. I thought you'd like to know. Excuse me, Mrs. Hushabye, the strange old gentleman...
Papa, quite so.
Oh, I beg your pardon, of course. I was a little confused by his manner. He's making Marion help him with something in the garden, and he wants me, too.
Bosun ahoy!
Oh, dear. I believe he's whistling for me.
Now, my father's a wonderful man, if you like.
Simon, listen to me. You don't understand. My father and Mr. Megan were boys together.
Oh, I don't care what they were. You must sit down if you're going to begin as far back as that. Now, Pettikins, tell me all about Mr. Mangan. They call him Boss Mangan, don't they? He's a Napoleon of industry and disgustingly rich, isn't he? But why isn't your father rich?
My poor father should never have been in business. His parents were poets, and they gave him the noblest ideas, but they could not afford to give him a profession.
Oh, fancy your grandparents with their eyes in a fine frenzy rolling. And so your poor father had to go into business. Hasn't he succeeded at it?
He always used to say he could succeed if he only had some capital. He fought his way along to keep a roof over our heads and bring us up well, but it was always a struggle. Always the same difficulty of not having capital enough. I don't know how to describe it to you.
Poor Ellie, I know. Pulling the devil by the tail.
Not like that. He was at least dignified.
Well, and that made it all the harder, didn't it? I shouldn't have pulled the devil by the tail with dignity. I should have pulled hard. Hard. Go on.
At last it seemed that all our troubles were at an end. Mr. Mangan did an extraordinarily noble thing out of pure friendship for my father and respect for his character. He asked him how much capital he wanted and gave it to him. I don't mean that he lent it to him or that he invested in the business. He just simply made a present of it. Wasn't that splendid of him?
On the condition that you married him.
Oh, no, no, no. This was when I was a child. He'd never even seen me. He never came to our house. It was absolutely disinterested. Pure generosity.
Oh, well, I beg the gentleman's pardon. So what became of all the money?
We all got new clothes and moved into another house. and I went to another school for 2 years.
Only 2 years.
That was all. For at the end of 2 years, my father was utterly ruined.
How?
I don't know. I never could understand. But it was dreadful. When we were poor, my father had never been in debt. But when he launched out into business on a large scale, he had to incur liabilities. When the business went into liquidation, he owed more money than Mr. Mangan had given him.
Oh, he bit off more than he could chew, I suppose.
I think you are a little unfeeling about it.
Oh, my pettikins, you mustn't mind my way of talking. I was quite as sensitive and particular as you once, but I've picked up so much slang from children, really I'm hardly presentable. So I suppose your father had no head for business and made a mess of it.
Oh, that just shows how entirely you are mistaken about him. The business turned out a great success. It now pays 44% after deducting the excess profits tax.
Why aren't you rolling in money?
I don't know. It seems very unfair to me. You see, my father was made bankrupt. It nearly broke his heart because he had persuaded several of his friends to put money into the business. He was sure it would succeed, and events proved that he was quite right. They all lost their money. It was dreadful. I don't know what we should have done but for Mr. Mangan.
What? Did the boss come to the rescue again, after all his money being thrown away?
He did indeed, and never uttered a reproach to my father. He bought what was left of the business, the buildings and machinery and things, from the official trustee for enough money to enable my father to pay 6.5 in the pound and get his discharge. Everyone pitied Papa so much and saw so plainly that he was an honourable man that they let him off with 6.5 instead of 10 shillings. Then Mr. Mangan started a company to take up the business and made my father a manager in it to save us from starvation, for I wasn't earning anything then.
Quite a romance. So when did the boss discover the tender passion?
And that was years after, quite lately. He took the chair one night at a sort of people's concert. I was singing there. As an amateur, you know, half a guinea for expenses and 3 songs and 3 encores. He was so pleased with my singing that he asked might he walk home with me. I never saw anyone so taken aback as he was when I took him home and introduced him to my father, his own manager. It was then that my father told me how nobly he had behaved. Of course, it was considered a great chance for me, as he is so rich, and we drifted into a sort of understanding. I suppose I should call it an engagement.
Well, you may have drifted into it, but you won't bounce out of it, my pettikins, if I've anything to do with it.
No, it's no use. I am bound in honour and gratitude. I will go through with it.
You do know, of course, that it is not honourable or grateful to marry a man you don't love. Do you love this Mangan man?
Yes. At least I
No, I don't want to know about at least. I want to know the worst. Girls your age fall in love with all sorts of impossible people, especially old people.
I like Mr. Mangan very much, and I shall always be
Grateful to him for his kindness to your dear father, yes, I know. Anyone else?
What do you mean?
Anyone else? Are you in love with anyone else?
Of course not.
Quite sure you're not in love with an actor?
No. What put such a silly idea into your head?
This is yours, isn't it? Why else should you be reading Othello?
My father taught me to love Shakespeare.
Really, your father seems to be about the limit.
Do you never read Shakespeare, Sally? That seems to me so extraordinary. I like Othello.
Do you indeed? He was jealous, wasn't he?
Oh, no, not that. I think all the part of that jealousy is horrible. Oh, but don't you think it must have been a wonderful experience for Desdemona? You were brought up so quietly at home to meet a man who had been out in the world doing all sorts of brave things and having terrible adventures, and yet finding something in her that made him love to sit and talk and tell her about them.
That's your idea of romance, is it?
Not romance, exactly. It's what really happened.
Ellie, darling, have you ever noticed that some of the stories that Othello told Desdemona couldn't have happened?
Oh, no. Shakespeare thought they could have happened.
Desdemona thought they could have happened. But they didn't.
Why do you look so enigmatic about it? You're such a sphinx, I never know what you mean.
Well, Desdemona would have found him out if she'd lived, you know. I wonder, was that why he strangled her?
Othello was not telling lies.
Pardon?
Shakespeare would have said he was. Besides, there are men who have done wonderful things. Men like Othello. Only, of course, white and very handsome.
Oh, now I'm coming to it. Tell me all about him. I knew there must be someone, otherwise you'd never have been so miserable about Mangan. You'd have thought it quite a lark to marry him.
Siren, you're dreadful. Oh, but I don't want to make a secret of it. Of course, I don't tell everybody. Besides, I don't even know him.
Don't know him? What does that mean?
Well, of course, I know him to speak to.
But you want to know him ever so much more intimately.
No. I know him quite, almost intimately.
You don't know him, and you know him almost intimately. How lucid.
I mean that he does not call on us. I got into conversation with him by chance at a concert.
You seem to have a rather gay time at your concerts, Ellie.
Not at all. We talked to everyone in the green room waiting for our turns. I thought he was one of the artists. He looked so splendid. But he was only one of the committee. I happened to tell him that I was copying a picture at the National Gallery. I make a little money that way. I can't paint much because it's always the same picture. I could do it pretty quickly and get £2 or £3 for it. It happened that he came to the National Gallery one day.
On a student's day. Paid sixpence to stumble about through a crowd of easels, when he might have come the next day for nothing and found the floor clear, quite by accident.
No, on purpose. He liked talking to me. He knows lots of the most splendid people, fashionable women who are all in love with him. But he ran away from them to see me at the National Gallery and persuade me to come with him on a drive around Richmond Park in a taxi.
My pettikins, you have been going at it. It's wonderful what you good girls can do without anyone saying a word.
I am not in society, His Irony. If I did not make acquaintances in that way, I shouldn't have any at all.
Well, no harm done if you know how to take care of yourself. So, may I ask his name?
Marcus Darnley.
Marcus Darnley. Oh, what a splendid name.
Oh, I'm so glad you think so. I think so too, but I was afraid it was only a silly fancy of my own.
Is he one of the Aberdeen Darnleys?
Nobody knows. Just fancy. He was found in an antique chest.
What?
An antique chest. One summer morning in a rose garden, after the night's most terrible thunderstorm.
What on earth was he doing in the chest? Did he get in because he was afraid of the lightning?
No, he was a baby. The name Marcus Darnley was embroidered on his baby clothes, and £500 in gold.
Oh.
His life has been one long romance. A tiger was
slain by his own hand.
Oh, no, nothing vulgar like that. He saved the life of a tiger once from a hunting party, one of King Edward's hunting parties in India. The king was furious, and that is why Marcus never got his military services properly recognized. But he doesn't care. He's a socialist and despises rank, and has been in 3 revolutions fighting on the barricades.
How come you sit there telling me such lies? You, Ellie, of all people. I thought you a perfectly simple, straightforward, good girl.
Do you mean you don't believe me?
Of course I don't believe you. You're inventing every word. Do you take me for a fool?
Goodbye, Miss Irony. I'm very sorry. I see now that it sounds very improbable as I tell it. But I can't stay here if you think that way about me.
Oh, no, you shan't go. I couldn't be so wrong. I knew too well what liars are like. Someone has really told you all this.
Simon, don't say you don't believe him. I couldn't bear that.
Oh, of course I believe him, my dearest, but you should have broken it to me by degrees. Tell me all about him. Are you in love with him?
Oh, no. I'm not so foolish. I don't fall in love with people. I'm not so silly as you think.
I see. Only something to think about, to give some interest and pleasure to life.
Just so. That's all. Really.
Makes the hours go fast, doesn't it? No tedious waiting to go to sleep at night and wondering whether you have a bad night. And how delightful it makes waking up in the morning. So much better than the happiest dream. All life transfigured, No more wishing one had an interesting book to read, because life is so much happier than any book. No desire but to be alone, not have to talk to anyone. To be alone and just think about it.
Sally, you are a witch. How did you know? Oh, you are the most sympathetic woman in the world.
Pettikins, my Pettikins, how I envy you. And how I pity you.
Pity me? Why?
Well,
Sally, this is Mr. Marcus Darnley.
what a lark. This is my husband.
But how?
Now steady, Pettikins.
My real name, Miss Dunn, is Hector Hushabye. I leave it to you to judge whether that is a name any sensitive man would care to confess to. I never use it if I can possibly help it. I've been away nearly a month, and I had no idea you knew my wife or that you were coming here. I am nonetheless delighted to find you in our little house.
I don't know what to do. Please, may I speak to Papa? Do leave me. I can't bear it.
It's your Hector. Quick, get out.
If you think it better.
Pettikins is gone. There's no one but me. You can let yourself go. Don't try to control yourself. Have a good cry.
Damn!
Splendid. What a relief. I thought you were going to be broken-hearted. Now don't bother about me. Damn him again.
I am not damning him. I am damning myself for being such a fool. How could I let myself be taken in so?
Why not, Pettikins? Not many young women can resist Hector. I couldn't when I was your age. He really is rather splendid, you know.
Splendid? Yes, splendid looking, of course, but how could you love a liar?
I don't know, but you can. Fortunately. Otherwise there'd be very little love in the world.
But to lie like that, to be a boaster, a coward.
No, Pettikins, none of that, if you please. If you hint the slightest doubt of Hector's courage, he'll go straight off and do the most horribly dangerous things to convince himself he's not a coward. He has a dreadful trick of getting out of one third-floor window and coming in at another, just to test his nerves. He has a whole drawer full of Albert medals for saving people's lives.
You never told me that.
He'll never boast about things he really did. He can't bear it. And it makes him shy if anyone else does. All his stories are made-up stories.
Do you mean that he really is brave and really has adventures and yet tells lies about things that he never did and that never happened?
Yes, Pettikins, I do. People don't have their virtues and vices in sets. They have them anyhow, all mixed.
Something odd about this house, Miss Allen, and even about you. I don't know why I'm talking to you so calmly. I have a horrible fear that my heart is broken. But that heartbreak is not what I thought it must be.
It's only life educating you, Pettikins. What do you think about Boss Mangan now?
How could you remind me of him, Miss Allen?
Sorry, dear. Oh, I think I hear Hector coming back. You don't mind now, do you?
Not in the least. I'm quite cured.
1 second more and she would have been a dead woman.
Dear! What an escape! My love, Mr. Hushabye has just been telling me the most extraordinary
Yes, I've heard it.
Not this one. I'll tell it to you after dinner. I think you'll like it. The truth is, I made it up for you and I was looking forward to the pleasure of telling it to you. But in a moment of impatience, at being turned out of the room, I threw it away on your father.
Oh, it was not thrown away. He believes it. I should not have believed it.
Ellen's very naughty, Mr. Hushabye. Of course she does not rather think that.
Says his name is Mangan, not able-bodied.
How do you, Mr. Mangan?
Very pleased. Dunn's lost his muscle, but recovered his nerve. Men seldom do after 3 attacks of delirium tremens.
I congratulate you, Mr. Dunn.
Well, I'm a lifelong teetotaler.
You will find it far less trouble to let Papa have his own way than try and explain.
Oh, but 3 attacks of delirium tremens? Right.
Do you know my husband, Mr. Mann?
Very pleased. I hope, Miss Ellie, you've not found the journey down too fatiguing.
Hector, show Mr. Dunn his room.
Certainly. Come along, Mr. Dunn.
Well, you haven't shown me my room yet, Hussein.
Yes, of course, how stupid of me. Come along. Make yourself quite at home, Mr. Mangan. Papa will entertain you. Papa, come and explain the house to Mr. Mangan.
You're going to marry Dunn's daughter. Don't. You're too old.
Well, that's fairly blunt, Captain.
It's true.
She doesn't think so.
She does.
Older men than I
Have
am.
made fools of themselves. That also is true.
I don't see this as any business of yours.
It is everybody's business. The stars in their courses are shaken when such things happen.
Oh, I'm going to marry her all the same.
How do you know?
Oh, I intend to. I mean to, see? I never made up my mind to do a thing yet that I didn't bring it off. That's the sort of man I am. There will be a better understanding between us when you make up your mind to that, Captain.
You frequent picture palaces.
Perhaps I do. Who told you?
Talk like a man, not like a movie. You mean that you make 100,000 a year?
I don't boast, but when I meet a man that makes 100,000 a year, I take off my hat to that man and stretch out my hand to him and call him brother.
Then you also make 100,000 a year, eh?
No, I can't say that. 50,000 perhaps.
His half-brother only.
See here, Captain Johnson, I don't quite understand my position here. I came here at your daughter's invitation, man. Her house or in yours.
You are under the dome of heaven in the house of God. What is true within these walls is true outside them. Go out upon the seas, climb the mountains, wander through the valleys. She is still too young.
I'm very little over 50.
You're still less under 60. Boss Mangan, you will not marry the pirate's child.
Pirate's child? What are you talking about?
Ellie Dunn, you will not marry her.
Who will stop me?
My daughter.
Mrs. Hushabye. Do you mean to say she brought me down here to break it off?
I know only what I have seen in her eye. She will break it off. Take my advice. Marry a West Indian woman. They make excellent wives. I was married to one myself for 2 years.
Oh, I am damned.
I thought so. I was also, for many years. That woman redeemed me.
This is queer. I ought to walk out of this house.
Why?
Well, many one would be offended by your style of talking.
Nonsense. It's the other sort of talking that makes quarrels. Nobody ever quarrels with me.
Excuse my intruding in this fashion, but there is no knocker on the door and the bell does not seem to ring.
Why should there be a knocker? Why should the bell ring? The door is open.
Precisely, so I ventured to come in.
Quite right. I will see about a room for you.
But I'm afraid you don't know who I am.
Do you suppose that at my age I make distinctions between one fellow creature and another?
Strange character, Captain Shotover, sir.
Very.
Yes, I need. Someone else has arrived and wants a room. Man about town, well-dressed, 50.
Fancy if Hassan his feelings. May I ask, are you a member of the family?
No.
I am, at least a connection.
How do you do? So good of you to come.
I'm very glad indeed to make your acquaintance, Society.
What?
Oh, you'll excuse my kissing your daughter in this fashion, Captain, when I tell you that...
Stop. Everyone kisses my daughter. Kiss her as much as you like.
Thank you. One moment, Captain. Do you happen to remember, but probably you don't, as it occurred many years ago, that your younger daughter married a non-star?
Yes. She said she would marry anyone to get away from this house. I should not have recognized you. Your head is no longer like a walnut. Your aspect is softened. You've been boiled and bred in milk for years and years like other married men. Poor devil.
I don't believe you are Hastings Utterword.
I am not.
But Mrs. sent you to kiss me.
I thought I would like to. The fact is, I'm Randall Utterword, the unworthy younger brother of Hastings. I was abroad diplomatizing when he was married.
Yes, where is the key of the wardrobe in my room? My diamonds are in my dressing bag. I must lock it up. Oh! Randall, how dare you?
How dare I what? I am not doing anything.
Who told you I was here?
Hastings, you had just left when I called you at Claridge's, so I followed you down here. You are looking extremely well.
Don't presume to tell me so.
What is the matter with Mr. Randall, Annie?
Oh, nothing. But he has no right to come bothering you and Papa without being invited.
I think you don't know Mr. Manningham, Annie.
I beg your pardon. Randall, you have flustered me so I make a perfect fool of myself.
Lady Utterword, my sister, my younger sister.
Oh, pleased to meet you, Lady Utterword.
Who is that gentleman walking in the garden with Miss Dunn?
I don't know. She quarrelled mortally with my husband only 10 minutes ago. I didn't know anyone else had come. It must be a visitor. Oh, no, it is Hector. They've made it up.
Your husband, that handsome man.
Why shouldn't my husband be a handsome man?
One's husband never is, Ariadne.
One's sister's husband always is, Mr. Randall.
Don't be vulgar, Randall. And you, Hesine, are just as bad.
Hector, this is Addie.
Not this lady.
Why not?
I beg your pardon, Lady Utterword. I'm extremely glad to welcome you at last under our roof.
She wants to be kissed, Hector.
Hesine.
Call her Addie and kiss her like a good brother-in-law and have done with it.
Behave yourself, Esine. Lady Utterword is entitled not only to hospitality, but to civilization.
Thank you, Hector.
Your father has washed himself.
He often does, Captain Shotover.
A strange conversion. I saw him through the pantry window.
Oh, Mr. Mazzini Dunn. Lady Utterword, oh, I forgot you've already met. Miss Dunn.
I have met Miss Dunn also. She is my daughter.
Of course, I'd forgotten. Mr. Utterword, my sisters.
Her brother-in-law, Mr. Dunn. How do you do?
This is my husband.
We have met you. Don't introduce us anymore. Won't you sit down, Lady Utterword?
I'm sorry. But I hate it. It's like making people show their tickets.
How little it tells us after all. The great question is not who we are, but what we are.
Ha! What are you?
What am I?
A thief, a pirate, and a murderer.
I assure you, you were mistaken.
An adventurer's life. But what does it end in? Respectability. A ladylike daughter. The language and appearance of a city missionary. Let it be a warning to all of you.
I hope that nobody here believes that I'm a thief, a pirate, or a murderer. Mrs. Hushby, will you excuse me a moment? I must rally here and explain.
No, it's no use. You really better... We had better all go out and look for some tea. We never have any regular tea. But you can always get someone you want, and the servants keep it stewing all day. The kitchen veranda is the best place to ask. May I show you?
I don't think I'll take any tea this afternoon, but if you will show me the garden.
Oh, there's nothing to see in the garden, except Papa's observatory. And a gravel pit with a cave where he keeps dynamite and things of that sort. However, it is pleasanter out of doors, so come along.
Dynamite? Isn't that rather risky?
Well, we never sit in the gravel pit in a thunderstorm.
That's something new. What's the dynamite for?
To blow up the human race if it goes too far. He's trying to discover a psychic ray that will explode all of the explosive at the will of a Mahatma.
The captain's tea is delicious, Mr. Atterworth.
Do you mean to say that you've had some of my father's tea? That you got round to me before you were 10 minutes in the house?
I did.
Little devil.
But won't you come, Miss Ellie?
I'm too tired. I think I'll find a book and take it up to my room.
Right. Can't do better, but I'm disappointed.
Do you like stories of adventure, Lady Atterworth?
Of course, dear.
Well, then I'll leave you to Mr. Ashbath.
That girl is mad about tales of adventure. The lies I have to tell her.
When you saw me, what did you mean by saying that you thought, and then stopping short? What did you think?
May I tell?
Of course.
It will not sound very civil. I was on the point of saying I thought you were a plain woman.
For shame, Hector. What right have you to notice whether I am plain or not?
Listen to me, Lady Utterword. Until today, I'd seen only photographs of you, and no photograph can give the strange fascination of the daughters of that supernatural old man. There is some damnable quality in them that destroys men's moral sense and carries them beyond honor and dishonor. But you know that, don't you?
Perhaps I do, Hector. But let me warn you once for all that I am a rigidly conventional woman. You may think that because I am a short-over that I'm a bohemian, because we are all so horribly bohemian. But I am not. I hate and loathe bohemianism. No child brought up in a strict Puritan household ever suffered from Puritanism as I have suffered from our bohemianism.
Our children are like that. They spend their holidays in the houses of their respectable schoolfellows.
I shall invite them for Christmas.
Their absence leaves us both without our natural chaperones.
Children are certainly very inconvenient sometimes. But intelligent people can always manage, unless they are bohemians.
You are no bohemian, but you are no Puritan either. Your attraction is alive and powerful. What sort of woman do you count yourself?
I am a woman of the world, Hector. And I can assure you that if you will only take the trouble always to do the perfectly correct thing, and to say the perfectly correct thing, you can do just what you like. An ill-conducted, careless woman simply gets no chance. An ill-conducted, careless man is never allowed within arm's length of any woman worth knowing.
I see. You are neither a bohemian woman nor a Puritan woman. You are a dangerous woman.
On the contrary, I am a safe woman.
You are an cursedly attractive woman. Mind you, I am not making love to you. I don't like being attracted. But you had better know how I feel if you are going to stay here.
You are an exceedingly clever lady killer, Hector, and very handsome. I am quite a good player myself at that game. Is it quite understood that we are only playing?
Quite. I am deliberately playing the fool, out of sheer worthlessness.
Well, you are my brother-in-law. Hesione asked you to kiss me. That was a little more than play, brother-in-law. We shall not do that again.
In effect, you got your claws deeper into me than I intended.
Don't let me disturb you. I only want a cap to put on Daddy. The sun is setting and he'll catch cold.
Your husband is quite charming, darling. He has actually condescended to kiss me. I shall go into the garden. It is cooler now.
Take care, dear child. I don't believe any man can kiss Addie without falling in love with her.
Fool! Coach! That sister of yours is an enterprising old girl. Where's Miss Dunn?
Mangan says she's gone upstairs for a nap. Addie won't let you talk to Ellie. She has marked you for her own.
She has the diabolical family fascination. I began making love to her automatically. What am I to do? I can't fall in love. And I can't hurt a woman's feelings by telling her so when she falls in love with me. And as women are always falling in love with my moustache, I get led in all sorts of tedious and terrifying flirtations in which I'm not a bit in earnest.
Well, neither is Addie. She's never been in love in her life. She's always been trying to fall in head over heels. She's worse than you. Because you had one real girl, at least, with me.
That was a confounded madness. I can't believe such an amazing experience is common. It has left its mark on me. I believe that's why I've never been able to repeat it.
We were frightfully in love with each other, Hector. It was such an enchanting dream. I've never been able to grudge it to you or anyone else since. I brought all sorts of pretty women to the house on the chance of giving you another turn, but it's never come off.
I don't know that I wanted to come off. It was damn dangerous. You fascinated me, but I loved you, so it was heaven. This sister of yours fascinates me, but I hate her, so it is hell. I shall kill her if she persists.
Oh, nothing will kill Annie. She's as strong as a horse. Now, I am going off to fascinate someone.
The Foreign Office top, Randall.
Good gracious, no. Why should I fascinate him?
Well, I presume you don't mean the bloated capitalist Mangan.
I think he had better be fascinated by me than by Ellie. What have you got there?
Dynamite.
Oh, you've been to the gravel pit. And don't drop it about the house. There's a thing.
Listen, O sage. How long dare you concentrate on a feeling without risking having it fixed in your consciousness all the rest of your life?
90 minutes. An hour and a half.
Love me.
That sort of strength is no good. You will never be as strong as a gorilla.
What is the dynamite for?
To kill fellows like Mangan.
No use. They will always be able to buy more dynamite than you.
I will make a dynamite that he cannot explode.
And that you can, eh?
Yes, when I have attained the 7th degree of concentration.
No! What's the use of that? You never do attain it.
What then is to be done? Are we to be kept forever in the mud by these hogs to whom the universe is nothing but a machine for greasing their bristles and filling their snouts?
Are Mangan's bristles worse than Randall's love locks?
We must obtain powers of life and death over them both. I refuse to die until I have invented the means.
Who are we that we should judge them?
What are they that they should judge us? Yet they do, unhesitatingly. There is enmity between their seed and our seed. They know it and act on it, strangling our souls. They believe in themselves. When we believe in ourselves, we shall kill them.
It is the same seed. You forget, your pirate has a very nice daughter. Mangan's son may be a Plato. Randall's a Shelley. What was my father?
Damnedest scoundrel I ever met.
Precisely. Well, dare you kill his innocent grandchildren?
They are mine also.
Just so. We are members one of another. I tell you, I have often thought of this killing of human vermin. Many men have thought of it. Decent men are like Daniel in the lion's den. Their survival is a miracle. And they do not always survive. We live among the Mangans and the Randalls and the Billy Duns, as they, poor devils, live among the disease germs and the doctors and the lawyers and the parsons and the restaurant chefs and the tradesmen and the servants and all the rest of the parasites and blackmailers. What are our terrors to theirs, eh? Give me the power to kill them, and I will spare them in sheer
fellow feeling.
No. I should kill myself if I believed that. I must believe that my spark, however small, is divine, and that the red light over their door is hellfire. I should spare them in simple, magnanimous pity.
You can't spare them until you have the power to kill them. At present, they have the power to kill you.
They are too stupid to use their power.
Do not deceive yourself. They do use it. We kill the better half of ourselves every day to propitiate them. The knowledge that these people are there to render all our aspirations barren prevents us having the aspirations. And when we are tempted to seek their destruction, they bring forth demons to delude us, disguised as pretty daughters and singers and poets and the like, for whose sake we spare them.
May not Hesione be such a demon, brought forth by you, lest I should slay you?
That is possible. She's used you up and left you nothing but dreams, as some women do.
Vampire woman.
demon women. Men think the world well lost for them and lose it accordingly. Who are the men that do things? The husbands of the shrew and of the drunkard, the men with the thorn in the flesh. I must think these things out. But I go on with the dynamite nonetheless. I will discover a ray mightier than any X-ray, a mind ray that will explode the ammunition in the belt of my adversary before he can point his gun at me. And I must hurry. I am old. I have no time to waste in talk.
Ernest, you and Hector must come and help me to entertain all these people. What on earth were you shouting about?
He is madder than usual.
We all are.
I must change.
Stop, come back, both of you, come back. Money is running short.
Money? Where are my April dividends?
Where is the snow that fell last year?
Where is the money you had from that patent lifeboat I invented?
£500, and I made it last since Easter.
Since Easter? Barely 4 months. Monstrous extravagance. I could live for 7 years on £500.
I'm not keeping open house as we do here, Daddiest.
Only £500 for that lifeboat. I got 12,000 for the invention before that.
Yes, dear. But that was for the ship with the magnetic keel that sucked up submarines. Living at the rate we do, you can't afford life-saving inventions. Can't you think of something that will murder half Europe in one bang?
No, I'm aging fast. My mind no longer dwells on slaughter as it did when I was a boy. Why doesn't your husband invent something? He does nothing but tell lies to women.
Well, that is a form of invention, is it not? However, you're right. I ought to support my wife.
Indeed, you shall do nothing of the sort. I should never see you from breakfast to dinner. I want my husband.
I might as well be your lapdog.
Do you want to be my breadwinner like other poor husbands?
No, by thunder! What a damned creature a husband is anyhow.
Oh, what about the harpoon cannon?
No use. It kills whales, not men.
Oh, why not? You shoot the harpoon out of the cannon. It sticks in the enemy's general. You wind him in. There you are.
You are your father's daughter, Hosea.
There is something in it. Not to wind in generals. They are not dangerous. But one might fire a grapnel and wind in a machine gun or even a tank. I will think it out.
Say it to our darling Daddiest. Now, we must go back to these dreadful people and entertain them.
They have had no dinner. Don't forget that.
Neither have I. It is dark. It must be all ours.
Oh, Guinness will produce some sort of dinner for them. The servants always take jolly good care there's food in the house.
What a house. What a daughter.
What a father.
What a husband.
Is there no thunder in heaven?
Is there no beauty, no bravery on earth?
What do men want?
Oh.
They have their food, their fireside, their clothes mended, and our love at the end of the day. Why are they not satisfied? Why do they envy us the pain with which we bring them into the world and make strange dangers and torments for themselves to be even with us?
I builded a house for my daughters and opened the doors thereof, that men might come for their choosing and their better spring from their love. But one of them married a numbskull,
The other a liar wed.
And now must she lie beside him, even as she made her bed.
Hermione? Hermione, where are you?
The cat is on the tile.
Come, darling, come.
Shall I turn up the lights for you?
No, give me deeper darkness. Money is not made in the light.
What a dinner! I don't call it a dinner, I call it a meal.
Well, I'm accustomed to meals, Mr. Mangan. I'm very lucky to get them. Besides, the captain cooks some macaroni for me.
Oh, too rich. I can't eat such things. Suppose it's because I have to work so much with my brain. That's the worst of being a man of business. You're always thinking. By the way, now that we're alone, may I take the opportunity to come to a little understanding with you?
Certainly, I should like to.
Should you? That surprises me. I thought I noticed this afternoon you avoided me all you could. Not for the first time, either.
I was very tired and upset. I wasn't used to the ways of this extraordinary house. Please forgive me.
Well, that's all right. I don't mind. But Captain Shoto has been talking to me about you. You and me, you know.
Captain? What did he say?
Well, he noticed the difference between our ages.
He notices everything.
You don't mind, then?
Of course I know quite well that our engagement...
Oh, you call it an engagement.
Well, isn't it?
Oh, yes, yes. No doubt it is, if you hold to it. It's the first time you've used the word, and I didn't quite know where we stood, that's all. You were saying?
Was I forget. Tell me, do you like this part of the country? I heard you ask Mr. Hushabye whether there are any nice houses to let down here.
I like the place? Yes, you, Smith. I shouldn't be surprised if I settled down here.
Well, nothing would please me better. There suits me too. And I want to be near Hussaini.
The air may suit us, but the question is, should we suit each other? Have you thought about that?
Mr. Mangan, we must be sensible, mustn't we? It's no use pretending that we are Romeo and Juliet. But we can get on very well together if we choose to make the best of it. Your kindness of heart to make it easier for me.
Kindness of heart, eh? I ruined your father, didn't I?
Oh, not intentionally.
Oh, yes, I did. Ruined him on purpose.
On purpose?
Well, not out of ill nature, you know, and you'll admit I kept a job for him after I'd finished with him. But business is business. I ruined him as a matter of business.
I don't understand how that can be. You're trying to make me feel that I need not be grateful to you, so that I may choose freely.
No, I mean what I say.
How could you do you any good to ruin my father? The money he lost was yours.
Was mine. It is mine, Miss Erin. And all the money the other fellas lost too. I just smoked them out like a hive of bees. What do you say to that? Bit of a shock, eh?
It would have been this morning. Now you can't think how little it matters. But it's very interesting. Only you must explain it to me. I don't understand it.
Well, of course you don't understand. What do you know about business? You just listen and learn. Your father's business was a new business, and I don't start new businesses. I let other fellas start them. They put all their money and their friends' money into starting, and they wear out their souls and bodies trying to make a success of them. They're what you call enthusiasts. But the first dead lift of the thing is too much for them. They haven't enough financial experience. In a year or so, they have either to let the whole show go bust, or sell out to a new lot of fellas for a few deferred ordinary shares, as if they're lucky enough to get anything at all. Likely it's not the very same thing happens to the new lot. They put in more money and a couple of years more work, then perhaps they have to sell out to a third lot. If it's a really big thing, the third lot will have to sell out too and leave their work and their money behind them. And that's where the real businessman comes in, where I come in. Well, I'm cleverer than some. I don't mind dropping a little money to start the process. I took your father's measure, so that he had a sound idea and that he would work himself silly for it if he got the chance. So that he was a child in business and was dead certain to outrun his expenses, be in too great a hurry to wait for his market. I knew that the surest way to ruin a man that doesn't know how to handle money is to give him some. I explained my idea to some friends in the city and they found the money, but I take no risks in ideas, even when they're my own. Your father and the friends that ventured their money with him were no more to me than a heap of squeezed lemons. You've been wasting your gratitude. My kind heart is all rot. I'm sick of it when I see your father beaming at me with his moist, grateful eyes, regularly wallowing in gratitude. I sometimes feel I must tell him the truth or burst. What stops me is I know he wouldn't believe me. He'd think it was my modesty, as you did just now. He'd think anything rather than the truth, which is a blamed fool, and I'm a man that knows how to take care of himself. Now, what do you think of me, Miss Ellie?
How strange. But my mother, who knew nothing at all about business, should have been quite right about you. She always used to say, not before Papa, of course, but to us children, you were just that sort of man.
Oh, did she? And yet she would have let you marry me.
Well, you see, Mr. Mangan, my mother married a very good man. For whatever you may think of my father's man of business, he is a soul of goodness, and she is not at all keen on my doing the same.
Anyhow, you don't want to marry me now, do you?
Oh, I think so. Why not?
Why not?
But I don't see why we shouldn't get on very well together.
Well, but look here, you know.
Well,
Well, I thought you were rather particular about people's characters.
we women were particular about men's characters. We should never get married at all, Mr. Mangan.
A child like you talking of we women. What next? You're not in earnest.
Yes, I am. Aren't you?
You mean to hold me to it?
Do you wish to back out of it?
Oh, no, not exactly back out of it.
Well,
Suppose I told you I was in love with another woman.
suppose I told you I was in love with another man.
I'm not joking.
Well, who told you I
I
was?
tell you I'm serious. You're too young to be serious, but you'll have to believe me. I want to be near your friend, Mrs. Hushabye. I'm in love with her. Now the murder's out.
I want to be near your friend, Mr. Hushabye. I'm in love with him. There. Now we are in one another's confidence. We shall be real friends. Thank you for telling me.
Do you think I'll be made a convenience of like this?
Come, Mr. Mangan. You made a business convenience of my father. Well, a woman's business is marriage. Why shouldn't I make a domestic convenience out of you?
Because I don't choose, see? Because I'm not a silly girl like your father, that's why.
You are not good enough to clean my father's boots, Mr. Mangan. And I am paying you a great compliment in condescending to make a convenience of you, as you call it. Of course, you are free to throw over our engagement if you like. But if you do, you will never enter Simon's house again. I will take care of that.
You little devil! You've done me! Wait a bit, though. You're not so cute as you think. You can't beat Boss Mangan as easy as that. Suppose I go straight to Mrs. Hushabye. Tell her that you're in love with her husband.
She knows it.
You told her?
She told me.
This is a crazy house. Feels like going clean off my chump. Is she making a swap with you? She to have your husband and you to have hers?
Well, you don't want us both, do you?
My brain won't stand it. My head's going to split. Help me to hold it. Quick, hold it, squeeze it, save me. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's very refreshing. Don't you hypnotize me, though. I've seen men made fools of by hypnotism.
Be quiet. I've seen men made fools of without hypnotism.
You don't dislike touching me, I hope. You never touched me before, I noticed.
Not since you fell in love. Naturally. With a grown-up, nice woman who will never expect you to make love to her. And I will never expect him to make love to me.
He may, though.
Hush. Go to sleep, do you hear? Go to sleep. Go to sleep. Be quiet. Deeply, deeply quiet. Sleep. Sleep. Sleep.
Mr. Mangan's not here, Ducky. There's no one here. It's all dark.
Try the garden. Mr. Dunn and I will be in my boudoir. Show him where.
Yes, Ducky. Oh! 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 Oh, Lord, sir! I beg your pardon, I'm sure. Oh, I didn't see you in the dark. Who is it? Oh, Mr. Mangan, sir. I hope I didn't hurt you, plumping into your lap like that. I was looking for you, sir.
it on purpose?
Now, is it likely I'd kill any man on purpose? I fell over him in the dark and I'm a pretty tiny weight. He never spoke nor moved until I shook him, and then he would have dropped dead on the floor. Isn't it tiresome?
Nonsense, he's not dead. He's only asleep. I can see him breathing.
But why won't he wake?
Mangan, my dear Mangan.
No, that's not Mr. Mangan, wake up! Do you hear? Wait. Oh, nurse!
Would he be drunk, do you think, Pet?
Do I have any of Papa's rum?
It can't be that. He's most abstemious. I'm afraid he drank too much formerly and has to drink too little now. You know, Mrs. Hushabye, I rather think he has been hypnotized.
Hypno what, sir?
One evening at home, after we had seen a hypnotizing performance, the children began playing at it, and, well, Ella stroked my head. I assure you, I went off dead asleep for 18 hours. They had to carry me upstairs, and as the poor children were not very strong, they let me slip, and I rolled right down the whole flight and never woke up. You may laugh, Mrs. Hushabye, but I might have been killed.
Oh, I couldn't have helped laughing even if you had, Mr. Dunn.
So Ellie has hypnotized him. What fun!
No, it was a terrible lesson to her. Nothing would induce her to try such a thing again.
Well, then you did it, I didn't.
I thought perhaps the captain might have done it unintentionally. But he's so fearfully magnetic. I feel his vibrations whenever he comes close to me.
Well, the captain will get him out of it anyhow, sir. I'll back him for that. I'll go fetch him.
Wait a minute. You say he's all right for 18 hours.
Well, I was asleep for 18 hours.
Were you any the worse for it?
I don't quite remember. They poured brandy down
Quite. Anyhow, you survived. Nurse, darling, go ask Miss Dunn to come to us here. Say I want to speak to her particularly. You'll find her with Mr. Hushabye, probably.
Oh, I think not, Ducky. Miss Abby is with you. But I'll go find her and send her.
Mr. Dunn, look. Just look. Well, look hard. Do you still intend to sacrifice your daughter to that thing?
You've completely upset me, Mrs. Hushabye, by all you've said to me. That anyone could imagine that I, well, a consecrated soldier of freedom, if I may say so, could sacrifice Ella to anybody or anyone, or that I should ever have dreamed of forcing her inclinations in any way, well, is a most painful blow to my, well, I suppose you would say to my good opinion of myself. Well, but what is your objection to poor Mangan, Mrs. Hushabye? He looks all right to me, but then I am so accustomed to him.
Oh, have you no heart? Have you no sense? Look at the brute. Think of poor, weak, innocent Ellie in the clutches of this slave driver who spends his life making thousands of rough, violent workmen bend to his will and sweat for him. A man accustomed to having great masses of iron beaten into shape for him by steam hammers, to fight with women and girls over a halfpenny an hour ruthlessly. A captain of industry, I think you call him, don't you? Are you going to fling your delicate, sweet, helpless child into such a beast's claws just because he will keep her in an expensive house and make her wear diamonds to show how rich he is?
Bless you, dear Mrs. Hushabye. What romantic ideas of business you have. Poor dear Mangan isn't a bit like that.
Oh, dear Mangan, indeed.
Oh, but he doesn't know anything about machinery. He never goes near the men. He couldn't manage them. He is afraid of them. I never can get him to take the least interest in the works. He hardly knows more about them than you do. People are cruelly unjust to Mangan. They think he's all rugged strength just because his manners are bad.
Do you mean to tell me he isn't strong enough to crush poor little Ed?
Of course, it's very hard to say how any marriage will turn out. But, speaking for myself, I should say that he won't have a dog's chance against Ellie. Ellie has remarkable strength of character. I think it is because I taught her to like Shakespeare when she was very young.
Shakespeare. The next thing you'll tell me is you could have made a great deal more money than Mangan.
No. I'm no good at making money. care enough for it somehow. I'm not ambitious, that must be it. Mangan's wonderful about money. He thinks of nothing else. He is so dreadfully afraid of being poor. I'm always thinking of other things. Even at the wax, I think of the things we are doing and not of what they cost. And the worst of it is, poor Mangan doesn't know what to do with his money when he gets it. He is such a baby, he doesn't know even what to eat or drink. He's ruined his liver eating all the wrong things. Now he can hardly eat at all. Ellie will diet him splendidly. You'll be surprised when you come to know him better. He really is the most helpless of mortals. You get quite a protective feeling towards him.
Who manages his business, pray?
I do, and of course other people like me.
Footling people, you mean?
I suppose you'd think us so.
Pray, why don't you do without him, if you're all so much cleverer?
Oh, we couldn't. We should ruin the business in a year. I've tried and I know. We should spend too much on everything. We should improve the quality of the goods and make them too dear. We should be sentimental about the hard cases among the work people. But Mangan keeps us in order. He is down on us about every extra halfpenny. We could never do without him. You see, he will sit up all night thinking of how to save sixpence. Won't Ellie make him jump, though, when she takes his house in hand?
That the creature's a fraud, even as a captain of industry.
I'm afraid all the captains of industry are what you call frauds, Mrs. Hushabye. Of course, there are some manufacturers who really do understand their own works, but they don't make as high a rate of profit as Mangan does. I assure you, Mangan is quite a good fellow in his own way. He means well.
And he doesn't look well. He's not in his first youth, is he?
After all, no husband is in his first youth for very long, Mrs. Hushabye. And men can't afford to marry in their first youth nowadays.
Now, if I had said that, it would have sounded witty. Why can't you say it wittily? What on earth is the matter with you? Why don't you inspire everyone with confidence, with respect?
I think that what is the matter with me is that I am poor. You don't know what that means at home. Mind, I don't say they have ever complained. They've all been wonderful. They've been proud of my poverty. But my wife has had a very poor time of it. She has been quite resigned to live. There, you see, I don't want Ellie to live on resignation.
What, do you want her to have to resign herself to living with a man she doesn't love?
Are you sure that would be worse than living with a man she did love, if he was a footling person?
You know, I really think you must love Ellie very much. For you become quite clever when you talk about her.
I didn't know that I was so very stupid on other subjects.
You are. Sometimes.
I have heard a good deal about myself from you, Mrs. Hushabye. And I shall not be the happier for your plain speaking. But if you thought I needed it to make me think of Ellie's happiness, I assure you, you are very much mistaken.
Have I been a beast?
It doesn't matter about me, Mrs. Hushabye. I think you like Ellie, and that is enough for me.
I'm beginning to like you a little. I perfectly loathed you at first. I thought you the most odious, self-satisfied, boresome, elderly prig I had ever met.
I dare say I am all that. I never have been a favorite with gorgeous women like you, Mrs. Hushabye. They always frighten me.
Am I a gorgeous woman? Mazzini, I shall fall in love with you presently.
No, you won't, Design. But you would be quite safe. Would you believe it that quite a lot of women have flirted with me because I am quite safe? But they get tired of me for the same reason.
You may not be so safe as you think.
No, yes, quite safe. You see, I have been in love, really. The sort of love that only happens once. That's why Ella is such a lovely girl.
Really, you are coming out. Are you quite sure you won't let me tempt you into a second grand passion?
Quite. It wouldn't be natural. The fact is, You don't strike on my box, Mrs. Hushabye. I certainly don't strike on yours.
I see your marriage was a safety match.
What a very witty application of the expression I used. I should never have thought of it.
Oh, here's Ellen, boss.
Skinner said you wanted me. You and Papa.
You kept us waiting for so long that Jonas came to... Well, never mind. Your father is a very wonderful man. The only one I ever met who could resist me when I made myself really agreeable. Now come here, I have something to show you. Look.
I know. We had to talk off to dinner and he fell asleep in the middle of it.
You did it, Ellie. You put him asleep.
Oh, I hope not. Did you, Ellen?
I dare say I can wake him if he asked me to.
Oh, but it's dangerous. You know it happened to me.
And if I can't wake him, somebody else can.
Oh, it doesn't matter anyhow, because I have at last persuaded your father that you don't want to marry him.
Why did you do that, Sally? I do want to marry him. I fully intend to marry him.
I'm not quite sure, Ellen. Mrs. Hushabye has made me feel that I may have been thoughtless and selfish about it.
Pa, when Mrs. Hushabye takes it upon herself to explain to you what I think or don't think, shut your ears tight and shut your eyes too. Hassan knows nothing about me. She hasn't the least notion of the sort of person I am and never will. I promise you I won't do anything I don't want to do and mean to do for my own sake.
You are quite sure?
Quite sure. Now you must leave me to talk to Mrs. Hushabye.
But I should like to hear. Shall I be in the way?
I'd rather talk to her alone.
Oh, well. I know it's a nuisance parents are here. I will be good and give.
Hermione, what the devil do you mean by making mischief with my father, that Meg?
Oh, don't you talk to me like that, you little minx. Remember, you are in my house.
Stop. Why don't you mind your own business? What is it to you whether I choose to marry Megan or not?
Do you suppose you can bully me? You miserable little matrimonial adventurer.
Every woman who hasn't any money is a matrimonial adventurer. It's easy for you to talk. You have never known where it is to want money, and you can pick up men as if they were daisies. I am poor and respectable.
Oh, respectable! Well, how did you pick up Mangan? How did you pick up my husband? You have the audacity to say that I am
a siren? So you are. You're born to lead men by the nose. If you weren't, Marcus would have waited for me, perhaps.
Ellie, my pettikins, my unhappy darling. I am so sorry about Hector, but what could I do? It's not my fault. I'd give him to you if I could.
Don't blame you for that.
Oh, what a brute I was to quarrel with you and call you names. Don't kiss me and say you're not angry with me.
Don't slop and gush and be sentimental. Don't you see that unless I can be hard as nails, I shall go mad? I don't care a damn about your calling me names. Do you think a woman in my situation can feel a few hard words?
Poor little woman. Poor little situation.
I suppose you think you're being sympathetic. You are just foolish and stupid and selfish. You see me getting a smasher right in the face that kills a whole part of my life, the best part that can never come again, and you think you can help me over it by a little coaxing and kissing. When I want all the strength I can get to lean on something iron, something stony, I don't care how cruel it is, you go all mushy and want to slobber over me. I'm not angry. I'm not unfriendly. For God's sake, pull yourself together. And don't think that because you're on velvet, and always have been, women who are on hell can take it as easily as you.
Very well. But let me warn you, when I am neither coaxing nor kissing nor laughing, I am only wondering how much longer I can stand living in this cruel, damnable world. You object to the siren? Well, I drop the siren. You won't rest your wounded bosom against a grindstone. Well, here's the grindstone.
That's better. I really have the truck of falling in with everyone's mood. But you don't understand. Because you are not the sort of woman for whom there is only one man and only one chance.
Oh, well, I certainly don't understand how your marrying that object there will console you for not being able to marry Hector.
Perhaps you don't understand why I was quite a nice girl this morning and am now neither a girl nor particularly nice.
No, yes, I do. Because you have made up your mind to do something despicable and wicked.
I don't think so, Sione. I must make the best of my ruined house.
Oh, fool, you'll get over it. Your house isn't ruined.
Of course I shall get over it. You don't suppose I'm just going to sit down and die of a broken heart, I hope? Or become an old maid living off the pittance from the sick and indigent roomkeepers' association? My heart is broken all the same. What I mean by that is that I know what has happened to me with Marcus will not happen to me ever again. In the world for me, there is Marcus and a lot of other men from one is just the same as another. Well, if I can't have love, that's no reason why I should have poverty. If man has nothing else, he has money.
Are there no young men with money?
Not within my reach. Besides, a young man would have the right to expect love from me, and would perhaps leave me when he found I could not give it to him. Rich young men can get rid of their wives, you know, pretty cheaply. But this object, as you call him, can expect nothing more from me than I am prepared to give him.
But he will be your owner, remember. If he buys you, he will make the bargain pay him, not you. Ask your father.
You need not trouble on that score, Sione. I have much more to give Boss Mangan than he has to give me. It is I who am buying him, and at a pretty good price too, I think. Women are better at that sort of bargain than men. I've taken the boss's measure, and 10 Boss Mangans should not prevent me doing far more as I please as his wife than I have ever been able to do as a poor girl. Shall there, boss? I think not. I shall not have to spend most of my time wondering how long my gloves will last, anyhow.
You are a wicked, sordid little beast. Oh, and to think that I actually condescended to fascinate that creature there to save you from him. Well, let me tell you this. If you make this disgusting match, you will never see Hector again if I can help it.
I may name him by telling him that if he did not marry me, he shall never see you again. Oh, so you see, Hussaini, I am not unprepared for you playing that trump against me. Just try, that's all. I should have made a man out of Marcus, not a household pet.
Oh, you dare!
Set him thinking about me if you dare.
Of all the impudent little fiends I ever met. Hector says there comes a certain point when the only answer you can give a man who breaks all the rules is to knock him down. What would you say if I were to box your ears?
I'd pull your hair.
Oh, that wouldn't hurt me. Perhaps it comes off at night.
I didn't mean to say, Hussaini, that your beautiful brown hair is false.
Don't tell Hector, he believes in it.
Oh, even the hair that ensnared him, false. Everything false.
Pull it and try. Other women can snare men in their hair. I can swing a baby on mine. Ha! You can't do that, Goldilocks.
No, you've stolen my babies.
Oh, petticoats. Don't make me cry. You know what you said about my making a household pet of him is a little true. Perhaps he ought to have waited for you. What other woman on earth would forgive you?
What was right in you to keep him all to yourself? There, I couldn't help it. He couldn't help it. Neither of us could help it. Don't say anything more. I can't bear it. Let us wake the object. Wake up, do you hear? You are to wake at once. Wake up, wake up, wake up!
Wake up! So you think I've been asleep? You throw me into a trance and I can't move hand or foot. I might have been buried alive. It's a mercy I wasn't, and now you think I was only asleep. If you'd let me drop the 2 times you rode me about, my nose would have been flattened for life against the floor. But I found you all out anyhow. I know the sort of people I'm among now. I've heard every word you said, you and your precious father, and you too. So I'm an object, am I? I'm a thing, am I? I'm a fool that hasn't enough sense to feed himself properly, am I? Afraid of the men that would starve and work at the wages I'd give them. Now I'm nothing but a disgusting old skinflint to be made a convenience of by designing women and fool managers.
Mr. Mangan, you are bound in honor to obliterate from your mind all you heard by me. It was not then for you to hear.
Pretending to be a signifies, only pretending. You think I want to sprawl there, helpless, and listen to such unfairness, such lies, such injustice, and plotting and backfighting and slandering at me. If I could have up and told you I thought you, I wonder I didn't burst.
You dreamt it all, Mr. Mangan. We were only saying how beautifully peaceful you looked in your sleep. That was all, wasn't it, Terry? Believe me, Mr. Mangan, all those unpleasant thoughts came into your mind in the last half second before you woke. Ellie rubbed your hair the wrong way, and the disagreeable sensation suggested a disagreeable dream.
I believe in dreams.
So do I. But they go by contraries, don't they?
I shan't forget to my dying day that when you gave me the glad eye that time in the garden you were making a fool of me. That was a dirty, low, mean thing to do. You had no right to let me come in you if I disgusted you. It isn't my fault if I'm old and haven't a moustache like a bronze candlestick as your husband has. There are some things no decent woman would do to a man. Like a man hitting a woman in the breast.
Don't cry! I can't bear it. Have I broken your heart? I didn't know you had one.
I'm a man, ain't I?
Oh no, not what I call a man. Only a boss, that's all, nothing else. But what business is a boss with a heart?
So you're not a bit sorry for what you did, nor ashamed.
No, I was ashamed for the first time in my life when you said that about hitting a woman in the breast and I'd found out what I'd done. My very bones blushed red. Had your revenge, boss. Aren't you satisfied?
Serve you right. Do you hear? Serve you right. You're just cruel, cruel.
Oh, yes. Cruelty would be delicious if only one could find some sort of cruelty that didn't really hurt. By the way, what's your name? It's not really Ross, is it?
Well, if you want to know, my name's Alfred.
Alfred? Annie! He was christened after Tennyson.
I was christened after my uncle. I never had a penny from him, damn him. What of it?
Comes to me suddenly that you are a real person. That you had a mother like everyone else. Little Alf.
You have a nerve.
And you have a heart, Alfie. A whimpery little heart, but a real one. Now, rather than make it up with Ellie, she's had time to think of what to say to you, which is more than I had.
A woman has a pair of hands that go right through you.
Still in love with her, in spite of all we said about her.
Are all women like you two? Do they never think anything about a man except what they can get out of him? You weren't even thinking that about me. You were only thinking whether your gloves would last.
I should not have to think about that when we are married.
And you think I'm going to marry you after what I had there?
You heard nothing from me that I did not tell you before.
Perhaps you think I can't do without you.
I think you would feel lonely without us all. Now, after coming to know us so well.
Am I never to have the last word?
There is a soul in torment here. What is the matter?
This girl doesn't want to spend her life wondering how long her gloves will last.
Don't wear any. I never do.
Is anything the matter?
This gentleman wants to know is he to ever have the last word.
I should let him have it, my dear. The important thing is not to have the last word, but to have your own way.
She wants both.
She won't get them, Mr. Mangan. Providence always has the last word.
Now you are going to come religion over me. And this house of man's mind might as well be our football. I'm going.
Whither away, Boss Mangan?
To hell out of this house. Let that be enough for you and all here.
You are welcome to come. You are free to go. The wide earth, the spacious skies, the high seas are waiting for you outside.
Things, Mr. Mangan, your bag, your golden brushes, your pajamas.
Why should the escaping slave take his chains with him?
That's right, Hushabye. Keep the pajamas, my lady, and much good may they do you.
Let us all go out into the night and leave everything behind.
You stay where you are, the lot of you. I want no company, especially female company.
Let him go. He is unhappy here. He is angry with us.
Go, Boss Mangan. And when you have found the land where there is happiness and where there are no women, send me its latitude and longitude, and I will join you there.
You'll certainly not be comfortable without your luggage, Mr. Mangan.
Go! Go! Why don't you go? It is a heavenly night. You can sleep on the heath. Take my watchbook to lie on. It is hanging up in the hall.
Breakfast at 9, unless you prefer to breakfast with the captain at 6.
Good night, Alfred.
Alfred! Randall! Mangan's Christian name is Alfred!
It is sign he wins her bet.
So you wouldn't believe me, Al.
Is there any more of you coming in to look at me? As if I was the latest thing in a menagerie?
You are the latest thing in this menagerie.
Help! A burglar! Help!
A burglar!
Where can you be shot?
All hands aloft!
My diamond!
No, Ariadne, let me.
Oh, the glass shot! Are you frightened, Al?
No, it ain't my house, thank God.
If they catch a burglar, shall we have to go into court as witnesses and be asked all sorts of questions about our private lives?
You won't be believed if you tell the truth.
Oh, my dear Mrs. Hushabye, I might have killed him. I hope you will believe I rallied tending to.
Keep your eye on the score, Mangan. I'll look after the other.
What has happened?
Your housekeeper told me there was somebody upstairs and gave me a pistol Mr. Hushabye had been practicing with. I thought it would frighten him, but it went off in a touch.
Yes! Took the skin off me ear. Precious thing took the top off me head. Why don't you have a proper revolver instead of a thing like that? It goes off as you as much as blow on it.
One of my dueling pistols. Sorry.
He put his hands up and said it was a fair cock.
So it was. Send for the police.
No! By thunder, it was not a fair cop. We were 4 to 1.
What will they do to him?
10 years. Beginning with solitary. 10 years off me life. I shan't serve it all. I'm too old. It will see me out.
You should have thought of that before you stole my diamonds.
You've got them back, lady, haven't you? Can you give me back the years of my life you're going to take from me?
Well, we can't bury a man alive for 10 years. What are you diamonds?
10 little shining diamonds. 10 long black years.
Think of what it is for us to be dragged through the horrors of a criminal court and have all our family affairs in the papers. If you were a native and Hastings could order you a good beating and send you away, I shouldn't mind. But here in England, there's no real protection for any respectable person.
I'm too old to be given, lady. Send for the police and have done with it. It's only just and right you should.
It is neither just nor right that we should be put to a lot of inconvenience to gratify your moral enthusiasm, my friend. You had best get out while you had the chance.
No, I must work me sin off me conscience. This has come as sort of a call to me. Let me spend the rest of me life repenting in a cell. I shall have me reward.
The very burglars can't behave naturally in this house.
My good sir, you shall have to work out your salvation at somebody else's expense. Nobody here is going to charge you.
Oh, you won't charge me, won't you?
No. I'm sorry to be inhospitable, but will you kindly leave the house?
Right. I'll go to the police station and give myself up.
Clear out, don't be a fool.
You have to do as you are told.
It's compounding a felony, you know.
Oh, this is utterly ridiculous. Are we to be forced to prosecute this man when we don't want to?
Am I to be robbed of me salvation to save you the trouble of spending a day at the sessions? Is that justice? Is it right? Is it fair to me?
Come on. Let me show you how you can turn your very crimes to account. Why not set up as a locksmith? You must know more about locks than most honest men.
That's true, sir, but I couldn't set up as a locksmith for under £20.
Well, you could easily steal £20. You will find it in the nearest bank.
Oh, what a thing for a gentleman to put in the head of a poor criminal scrambled out of the bottomless pit, as it were. Oh, shame on you, sir. Oh, God, forgive me.
Really, Randall?
It seems to me that we shall have to take up a collection for this inopportunely contrite sinner.
£20 is ridiculous.
I shall need a lot of tools, lady.
Nonsense. You have your burgling kit.
What's a jimmy and a centipede and an acetylene welding pan and a bunch of skeleton keys? I shall want a forge and a smithy and a shop and fittings. I can hardly do it for 20.
My worthy friend, we haven't got £20.
You can raise it among you, can't you?
They give him a shilling and get rid of him.
All right. There. Off with you.
I won't promise nothing. You have more on you than a quid, all the lot of you on me.
Let us prosecute him and have done with it. I have a conscience too, I hope, and I do not feel at all sure that we have any right to let him go, especially if he's going to be greedy and impertinent.
All right, lady, all right. I'm the wish to be anything but agreeable. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you kindly.
Oh, what's this? Are there two of you?
Oh, my lordy God. Don't tell me it's your house I've broken into, getting shot over.
Is that your daughter?
How do I know, Captain? You know the sort of life you and me this live. Any young lady of that age might be me daughter anywhere with a wide range, you would say.
You are not Billy Dunn. This is Billy Dunn. Why have you imposed on me?
Have you been giving yourself out to be me? You didn't know shot me in the head. Shooting yourself in a manner of speaking.
My dear Captain Shotover, ever since I came into this house, I've done hardly anything else but assure you that I am not Mr. William Dunn, but Mazzini Dunn, a very different person.
You don't belong to me branch, Captain. There's two sets in the family, the thinking Dunns and the drinking Dunns. Each go in their own way. I'm a drinking Dunn. He's a thinking Dunn. But that didn't give him any right to shoot me.
So you've turned burglar, have you?
No, Captain. I wouldn't disgrace our old sea calling by such a thing. I am no burglar.
What were you doing with my diamonds?
What did you break into the house for if you're no burglar?
Mistook this house for your own and come in by the wrong window, eh?
Well, it's no use me lying here. I can take in most captains, but not Captain Shotover. He sold himself to the devil in Zanzibar and can divine water, spot gold, explode a cartridge in your pocket by the glance of his eye, and see the truth hidden in the heart of a man. But I am no burglar.
Are you an honest man?
I don't set myself up to be better than me fellow creatures that never did, as you well know, Captain. But what I do is innocent and pious. I inquire about for houses where the right sort of people live, and I work it honest, same as I worked it here. I break into the house, put a few spoons of diamonds in me pocket, make a noise, get caught, and take up a collection. And you wouldn't believe how hard it is to get caught when you're actually trying to. I've knocked over all the chairs in the room without a soul paying any attention to me. In the end, I let her walk out and leave the job.
When that happens, do you put back the spoons and the diamonds?
Well, I don't fly in the face of Providence, if that's what you're about.
Guinness, you remember this man?
I should think I did, seeing as I was married to him. The blackguard! Married to
Well, it wasn't legal. I've been married to more and all parts of women. No use coming that over me.
Take him to the forecastle.
I suppose you mean the kitchen. Well, they won't have him there. Do you expect servants to keep company with thieves and all sorts?
Land thieves and water thieves are one flesh and blood. I'll have no boatswain on my quarterdeck. Off with you both.
Yes, Captain.
Will it be safe to have him in the house like that?
Why didn't you shoot him, sir? If I'd known who he was, I'd have shot him myself.
Do sit down, everyone. So, Billy Dunn with poor nurse's little romance. I knew there was someone.
They will fight the battles over again and enjoy themselves immensely.
You are not married. You know nothing about it. Hold your tongue.
Tyrant.
Now we have all had a very exciting evening. Everything else will be an anticlimax. We better all go to bed.
Another burglar may show up.
No, impossible. Well, I hope not.
Well, why not? There is more than one burglar in England.
What do you say, Al?
Oh, it don't matter. I'd forgotten. The burglar has took my nose out of joint, shoved me into a corner, and have done with me.
Would you like to walk on the heath, Alfred, with me?
Go, Mr. Mangan. It will do you good. His eye will soothe you.
Oh, come, Alf. There's a moon. It's like the night in Tristan and Isolde.
How can you have the face, the heart?
What an extraordinary way to behave. What is the matter with the man?
His heart is breaking. That is all. It is a curious sensation of pain that goes mercifully beyond our powers of feeling. When your heart is broken, your boats are burned, nothing matters anymore. It is the end of happiness and the beginning of peace.
How dare you!
Good heavens, what's the matter? Stay.
I was not addressing you particularly, Lady Utterword, and I am not accustomed to being asked. How dare I?
Of course not. Anyone can see how badly you've been brought up.
I hope not, Lady Utterword. Well,
I know perfectly well what you meant. The impudence!
What on earth do you mean?
She means that her heart will not break. She's been longing all her life for someone to break it. At last she's become afraid that she has none to break.
Papa, don't say you think I've no heart.
If you had no heart, how could you want to have it broken, child?
Lady Utterword, you are not to be trusted. You have made a scene.
Hector! Hector!
Only nerves, I assure you. Ariadne, for God's sake, be careful, you will be hurt.
how distressing. Can I do anything, I wonder?
No, go to bed. Good night.
Perhaps you're right.
Good night, dearest.
Good night, love. I'll just take a book. Good night.
Does nothing ever disturb you, Captain Shotover?
I've stood for 18 hours on the bridge in a typhoon. Life here is stormier, but I can stand it.
Do you think I ought to marry Mr. Mangan?
One rock is as good as another to be wrecked on.
And I am not in love with him.
You said you were.
You're not surprised?
Surprised. At my age.
Well, it seems to me quite fair. He wants me for one thing, I want him for another.
Money?
Yes.
Well, one turns the cheek, the other kisses it. One provides the cash, the other spends it.
Who will have the best of the bargain, I wonder?
You. These fellows live in an office all day. You will have to put up with him from dinner to breakfast, but you'll both be asleep most of that time. All day you will be quit of him, and you'll be shopping with his money. If that is too much for you, marry a seafaring man. You'll be bothered with him only 3 weeks in the year, perhaps.
That would be best of all, I suppose.
It's dangerous to be married right up to the hilt, like my daughter's husband. The man is at home all day, like a damned soul in hell.
I never thought of it like that before.
If you're marrying for business, you can't be too businesslike.
Why do women always want other women's husbands?
Why do horse thieves prefer a horse that is broken in to one that is wild?
I suppose so. What a vile world it is.
It doesn't concern me. I'm nearly out of it.
I'm only just beginning.
Yes. So look ahead.
Well, I think I am being very prudent.
I didn't say prudent. I said look ahead.
What's the difference?
It is prudent to gain the whole world and lose your own soul. But don't forget that your soul sticks to you if you stick to it. But the world has a way of slipping through your fingers.
I'm sorry, Captain, but it's no use talking like that to me. Old-fashioned people are no use to me. Old-fashioned people think you can have a soul without money. They think the less money you have, the more soul you have. Young people nowadays know better. A soul is a very expensive thing to keep, much more than a motor car.
Is it? How much does your soul eat?
Oh, a lot. It eats music and pictures and books and mountains and lakes and beautiful things to wear and nice people to be with. In this country you can't have them without lots of money. That is why our souls are so horribly starved.
Mangan's soul lives on pig's food.
Yes, money is thrown away on him. I suppose the soul was starved when he was young. And it will not be thrown away on me. It is just that I want to save my soul that I am marrying for money. All the women who are not fools do.
There are other ways of getting money. Why don't you steal it?
Because I don't want to go to prison.
Is that the only reason? Are you quite sure honesty has nothing to do with it?
Oh, you are very, very old-fashioned, Captain. Does any modern girl believe that the legal and illegal ways of getting money are the honest and dishonest ways? Mangan robbed my father and my father's friends. I should rob all the money back from Mangan if the police would let me. As they won't, I must get it back by marrying him.
I can't argue. I'm too old. My mind is made up and finished. All I can tell you is that, old-fashioned or new-fashioned, if you sell yourself, you deal your soul a blow that all the books and concerts and pictures and scenery in the world won't heal.
Well, then why did you sell yourself to the devil in Zanzibar?
What?
I have found out that trick of yours. You shall not run away before you answer me. If you sold yourself, then why shouldn't I?
I had to deal with men so degraded that they wouldn't obey me unless I swore at them and kicked them and beat them with my fists. Foolish people took young thieves off the streets, flung them into a training ship where they were taught to fear the cane instead of fearing God, and thought they'd made men and sailors of them by private subscription. I tricked these thieves into believing I'd sold myself to the devil. That saved my soul from the kicking and swearing that was damning me by inches.
I shall pretend to sell myself to Boss Mangan to save my soul from the poverty that is damning me by inches.
Riches will damn you 10 times deeper. Riches won't even save your body.
Old-fashioned again. We now know that the soul is the body, and the body the soul. They tell us they are different because they want to persuade us that we can keep our souls if we let them take slaves of our bodies. I'm afraid you are no use to me, Captain.
What did you expect? A savior, eh? Are you old-fashioned enough to believe in that?
No, but I thought you were very wise and might help me. Now I have found you out. You pretend to be busy and think of fine things to say, and then run in and out to surprise people by saying them, and then get away before they can answer you.
It discourages me to be answered. It confuses me. I can't bear men and women. I have to run away. I must run away now.
You shall not. I can hypnotize you. You are the only person in this house I can say what I like to. I know you are fond of me. Sit down.
Take care. I am in my dotage. Old men are dangerous. It doesn't matter to them what is going to happen to the world.
I should have thought nothing else mattered to old men. They can't be very interested in what is going to happen to themselves.
A man's interest in the world is only the overflow from his interest in himself. When you were a child, your vessel is not yet full, so you care for nothing but your own affairs. When you grow up, your vessel overflows and you're a philosopher, a politician, or an explorer and adventurer. In old age, your vessel dries up. There is no overflow. You're a child again. I can give you the memories of my ancient wisdom, mere scraps and leavings. But I no longer really care for anything but my own little wants and hobbies. I sit here, working out my old ideas as a means of destroying my fellow creatures. You see my daughters and their men living foolish lives of romance and sentiment and snobbery. You see you, the younger generation, turning from their romance and sentiment and snobbery to money and comfort and hard common sense. I was 10 times happier on the bridge in a typhoon or frozen into Arctic ice for months in darkness than you or they have ever been. You were looking for a rich husband. At your age, I looked for hardship, danger, horror, and death, that I might feel the life in me more intensely. I did not let the fear of death govern my life, and my reward was that I had my life. You're going to let the fear of poverty govern your life, and your reward will be that you will eat, but you will not live.
Well, what can I do? I am not a sea captain. I can't stand on bridges in typhoons or go slaughtering seals and whales in Greenland's icy mountains. They won't let women be captains. Do you want me to be a stewardess?
There are worse lives. The stewardesses could come ashore if they liked, but they sail and sail and sail.
What could they do ashore but marry for money? I don't want to be a stewardess. I am too bad a sailor. Think of something else for me.
I can't think so long and continuously. I'm too old. I must go in and out.
You shall not. You are happy here, aren't you?
I tell you, it's dangerous to keep me. I can't keep awake and alert.
What do you run away for? To sleep?
No. To get a glass of rum.
Is that it? How disgusting. Do you like being drunk?
No. I dread being drunk more than anything in the world. To be drunk means to have dreams, to go soft, to be easily pleased and deceived, to fall into the clutches of women. Drink does that for you when you were young. But when you are old, very, very old like me, the dreams come by themselves. You don't know how terrible that is. You're young. You sleep at night only, and sleep soundly. But later on, you will sleep in the afternoon. Later still, you will sleep even in the morning. And you will awake tired, tired of life. You will never be free from dozing and dreams. The dreams will steal on your work every 10 minutes, unless you can awaken yourself with rum. I drink now to keep sober. But the dreams are conquering. Rum is no longer what it was. I have had 10 glasses since you came. It might be so much water. Go, get me another. Guinness knows where it is. You had better see for yourself the horror of an old man drinking.
You shall not drink. Dream. I like you to dream. You shall never be in the real world when we talk together.
I am too weary to resist, or too weak. I am in my second childhood. I can't see you as you really are. I no longer remember what I really am. I feel nothing but the accursed happiness I have dreaded all my life long. The happiness that comes as life goes. The happiness of yielding and dreaming instead of resisting and doing. The sweetness of the fruit that is going rotten.
You dread it almost as much as I used to dread losing my dreams and having to fight and do things. That is all over for me now. My dreams are dashed to pieces. I should like to marry a very old, very rich man. I should like to marry you. I'd much rather marry you than marry Mangan. Are you very rich?
No. Living from hand to mouth. And I have a wife somewhere in Jamaica. A black one. My first wife. Unless she's dead.
What a pity. I feel so happy with you. I should have thought I would never feel happy again.
Why?
Don't you know?
No.
Heartbreak. I fell in love with Hector and did not know he was married.
Heartbreak? Are you one of those who are so sufficient to themselves that they are only happy when they are stripped of everything, even of hope?
It seems so. For I feel now as if there was nothing I could not do because I want nothing.
That's the only real strength. That's genius. That's better than rum.
Rum? Why did you spoil it?
Beg your pardon, we did not know there was anyone here.
Ah, that means you want to tell Mr. Randall the story of the tiger. Come, Captain. I want to talk to my father, and you'd better come with me.
Nonsense. The man is in bed.
Aha! My real father's in bed, but the father you gave me is in the kitchen. You knew quite well all along. Come.
That's an extraordinary girl. She has the ancient mariner on a string like a Pekingese dog.
Now that they have gone, shall we have a friendly chat?
You are in what is supposed to be my house. I am at your disposal.
I take it we may be quite frank. I mean about Lady Utterword.
You may. I have nothing to be frank about. I never met her until this afternoon.
What? But you are her sister's husband.
Well, if it comes to that, you are her husband's brother.
But you seem to be on intimate terms with her.
So do you.
Yes, but I am on intimate terms with her. I've known her for years.
It took her years to get to the same point with you that she got to with me in 5 minutes, it seems.
There. Henri Lartney is the limit.
She is, as I remarked to Hesine, a very enterprising woman.
You see, Hushabye, you are what women consider a good-looking man.
I cultivated that appearance in the days of my vanity, and Hesine insists on my keeping it up. She makes me wear these ridiculous things because she thinks me absurd in evening dress.
Still, you do keep it up, old chap. Now, I assure you, I have not an atom of jealousy in my disposition.
The question would seem to be rather whether your brother has any touch of that sort.
What? Hastings? Oh, don't trouble about Hastings. He has the gift of being able to work 16 hours a day at the dullest detail and actually likes it. That's what gets him to the top wherever he goes. So long as Ariadne takes care that he is fed regularly, he is anything thankful to anyone who will keep her in good humour for him.
And as she has all the sort of a fascination, there is plenty of competition for the job, eh?
Yeah, she encourages them. Her conduct is perfectly scandalous. Now, I assure you, I haven't an atom of jealousy in my disposition, but she makes herself the talk of every place she goes by her thoughtlessness. It's nothing more. She doesn't really care for the men she keeps hanging around her, but how is the world to know that? It's not fair to Hastings. It's not fair to me.
Well, her theory is that her conduct is so correct.
Correct! She does nothing but make scenes from morning to night. You be careful, old chap. She will get you in trouble. That is, she would if she really cared for you.
Doesn't she?
No, not a scrap. She may want to add your scalp to her collection, but her true affection has been engaged years ago.
Do you...
You had really better be careful.
suffer much from this jealousy?
Jealousy? I'm jealous, my dear fellow. Haven't I already told you there's not an ounce of
Yes,
jealousy?
and Lady Utterword told me she never made scenes. Well, don't waste your jealousy on my moustache. Never waste jealousy on a real man. It is the imaginary hero that supplants us all in the long run. Besides, jealousy does not belong to your easy man-of-the-world pose, which you carry so well in other respects.
Really, Hushabye, I think a man may be allowed to be a gentleman without being accused of posing.
It is a pose like any other. In this house, we know all the poses. Our game is to find out the man under the pose. The man under your pose would seem to be Ellie's favourite, Othello.
Some of your games in this house are damned annoying, let me tell you.
Yes, I've been their victim for years. I used to rise under them at first, but I became accustomed to them. At last, I learned to play them.
Well, I'd rather you didn't play them on me. Evidently you don't understand my character or my notions of good form.
Is it your notion of good form to give away Lady Utterword?
I have not said a word against Lady Utterword. This is just a conspiracy over again.
What conspiracy?
You know quite well, sir. A conspiracy to make me out to be pettish and jealous and childish and everything that I am not. Everyone knows that I'm just the opposite.
There's something in the air of this house that has upset you. It often has that effect.
Ariadne!
Yes?
What are you doing? I want to speak to you.
You really are a terribly commanding person. What's the matter?
I do not know how to manage your friend Randall. No doubt you do.
Randall, have you been making yourself ridiculous as usual?
No.
I can see it in your face. Really, you are the most pettish creature.
You know quite well, Ariadne, there's not an ounce of pettishness in my disposition. I have remained perfectly pleasant here. I've remained absolutely calm and imperturbable in the face of a burglar. Imperturbability is almost too strong a point of mine, but I insist on being treated with a certain consideration. I will not allow Hushabye to take liberties with me. I will not stand your encouraging people as you do.
The man has a rooted delusion that he is your husband.
I know. He is jealous. As if he had any right to be. He compromises me everywhere. He makes scenes all over the place. Randall, I will not allow it. I simply will not allow it. You had no right to discuss me with Hector. I will not be discussed by men.
Be reasonable, Ariadne. Your fatal gift of beauty forces men to discuss you.
Oh, indeed. What about your fatal gift of beauty?
Oh, how can I help it?
You could cut off your moustache. I can't cut off my nose. I get my whole life messed up with people falling in love with me. And then Randall says I run after men. Yes, you do. You said it just now. Why can't you think of something else than women? Napoleon was quite right when he said that women are the occupation of the idle man. Well, if ever there was an idle man on earth, his name is Randall Utterly.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, you are. There's no use in denying it. What good are you? What have you ever done? You are as much trouble in the house as a child of 3. You couldn't live without your bad laziness. You are laziness incarnate. You are selfishness itself. You are the most uninteresting man on earth. You can't even gossip about anything but yourself and your grievances and your ailments and the people who've offended you. Do you know what they call him, Hector?
I don't stand. Don't tell me.
Randall the Rotter.
Oh.
That is his name in good society.
I'm not standing, I tell you. You listen to me, you infernal.
Well, go on. What are you going to call me? Which unpleasant animal is it to be this time?
There is no animal in the world as hateful as a woman can be. You are a maddening devil. Hushabye, you will not believe me when I tell you I have loved this demon all my life. But God knows I have paid for it.
Cry, baby.
My friend, the Shotover sisters have 2 strange powers over men. They can make them love, and they can make them cry. Thank your stars you are not married to one of them.
And pray, Hector.
Ariadne, or if you attempt to start on me, I'll choke you. Do you hear? The cat and mouse game with the other sex is a good game, but I can play your head off at it. It is true, Napoleon said that woman is the occupation of the idle man, but he added she is the relaxation of the warrior. Well, I am the warrior, so take care.
My dear Hector, I've only done what you asked me to do.
And how do you make that out, pray?
You called me in to manage Randall, didn't you? You said you couldn't do it yourself.
Well, what if I did? I did not ask you to drive the man mad.
He isn't mad. That's the way to manage him. If you were a mother, you'd understand.
Mother, what are you up to now?
It's quite simple. When the children got nerves and were naughty, I smacked them just enough to give them a good cry and a healthy nervous shock. They went to sleep and were quite good afterwards. Well, I can't smack Randall. He is too big. So, when he gets nerves and is naughty, I just ram him till he cries. He will be all right now. Look, he is half asleep already.
I am not. You are most cruel, Ariadne. But I suppose I must forgive you, as usual.
Is the explanation satisfactory, dread warrior?
I shall kill you if you go too far. I thought you were a fool.
Everybody does at first. But I'm not such a fool as I look. Now, Randall, go to bed. You will be a good boy in the morning.
I go to bed when I like. It isn't 10 yet.
It is long past 10. See that he goes to bed at once.
Is there any slavery on earth viler than the slavery of men to women?
I'll not speak to her tomorrow. I'll not speak to her for another week. I give her such a lesson. I go straight to bed when I'm bidding her good night.
You are under a spell, man. Hold Old Shorter sold himself to the devil in Zanzibar. The devil gave him a black woman for a wife. These two demon daughters are their mystical progeny. I am tied to Hesione by the apron strings, but I'm her husband. And if I did go stark staring mad about her, at least we became man and wife. Why should you be dragged about and beaten by Ariadne as a toy donkey is dragged about and beaten by a child? What do you get by it? Are you a lover?
You must not misunderstand me. In a higher sense, in a platonic sense.
Sure! Platonic sense! She makes you her servant, and when payday comes round, she bilks you, and that is what you mean.
Well, if I don't mind, I don't see what business it is of yours. Besides, I'm going to punish her. You shall see. I know how to deal with women. Now, I'm really rather very tired, so say good night to Mrs. Hushby for me like a good chap. Good night.
Poor wretch! Women. Women! Women! Fall! Fall and crush!
What a lovely night. It seems made for us.
The night takes no notice of us. What are we to the night?
Its beauty soaks into my nerves. In the night there is peace for the old and hope for the young.
Is that remark your own?
No, only the last thing the captain said before he went to sleep.
I am not asleep.
Randall is. Also Mr. Mazzini died. Mangan too, perhaps.
No.
Oh, you are there. I thought Hesione would have sent you to bed by this time.
Oh, I think I shall. He keeps telling me he has a presentiment he's going to die. I never met a man so greedy for sympathy.
But I have a presentiment. I really have, and you wouldn't listen.
I was listening for something else. There was a sort of splendid drumming in the sky. Did none of you hear it? It came from a distance and then died away.
Well, I tell you, it was a train.
I tell you, Alf, there is no train at this hour. The last one's at 9:45.
But a goods train.
Not an hour, little nine. They tack a truck onto the passenger train. What could it have been, Hector?
Heaven's threatening growl of disgust at us useless, futile creatures. I tell you, one or two things must happen. Either out of that darkness, some new creation will come to supplant us, as we have supplanted the animals, or the heavens will fall in thunder and destroy us.
We have not supplanted the animals, Hector. Why do you ask heaven to destroy this house, which could be made quite comfortable if Hesione had any notion of how to live? Don't you know what is wrong with it?
We are wrong with it. There is no sense in us. We are useless, dangerous, and ought to be abolished.
Nonsense. Hastings told me the very first day he came here, nearly 24 years ago, what is wrong with the house.
What? The numbskull said there was something wrong with my house.
Hastings said it, and he is not in the least a numbskull.
What is wrong with my house?
Just what is wrong with the ship, Papa. Wasn't it clever of Hastings to see that?
The man is a fool. There's nothing wrong with this ship.
Yes, there is.
What is it? Don't be aggravating, Addie.
Yes.
Demons! Daughters of the Witch of Zanzibar, demons!
Not a bit. I assure you that all this house needs to make it a sensible, healthy, pleasant house with good appetites and sound sleep in it is horses.
Horses? What nonsense.
Yes, horses. Why have we never been able to let the house? Because there are no proper stables. Go anywhere in England where there are natural, wholesome, contented, and really nice English people, and what do you always find? That the stables are the real center of the household, and that if any visitor wants to play the piano, the whole room has to be upset before it can be opened. There are so many things piled on it. I never lived before I learned to ride, and I shall never ride really well because I didn't begin as a child. There are only two classes in good society in England, the equestrian classes and the neurotic classes, which isn't mere convention. Everyone can see that the people who hunt are the right people, and the people who don't are the wrong ones.
There's some truth in this. My ship made a man of me, And a ship is the horse of the sea.
Exactly how Hastings explained your being a gentleman.
Not bad for a numbskull. Bring him here with you next time. I must talk to him.
Why is Randall such an obvious rotter? He is well bred, he has been at a public school and a university. He has been in the Foreign Office. He knows the best people and has lived all his life among them. Why is he so unsatisfactory, so contemptible? Why can't he get a valet to stay with him longer than a few months? Just because he is too lazy and pleasure-loving to hunt and shoot. He strums the piano and sketches and runs after married women and reads literary books and poems. He actually plays the flute, but I never let him bring it into my house. If he would only... Randall, you have not gone to bed. Have you been listening? How vulgar. Go to bed instantly, Randall. How dare you? How can anyone care for such a creature?
Annie, do you think that Ellie ought to marry Alfred merely for his money?
Mrs. Hushabye, my affairs to be discussed like this before everybody.
I don't think Randall is listening now.
Everybody is listening. It isn't right.
But in the dark, what does it matter? Ellie doesn't mind, do you, then?
Not in the least. What is your opinion, Lady Atterward? You have so much good sense.
But it isn't right. Oh, very well.
How much money have you, Mr. Mangan?
Really, no, I can't stand
Mr. Mangan, it all turns on your income, doesn't it?
Well, if you want to know, I have no money and never had any.
Ah, you mustn't tell naughty stories.
I'm not telling you stories. I'm telling you the raw truth.
Then what do you live on, Mr. Mangan?
Travelling expenses and a trifle of commission.
What more have any of us than travelling expenses for our life's journey?
But you have factories and capital and things.
People think I have. People think I'm an industrial Napoleon. That's why Miss Ellie wants to marry me. I tell you, I have nothing.
Do you mean that the factories are like Marcus's tigers? That they don't exist?
Well, they exist all right enough, but they're not mine. They belong to syndicates and shareholders and all sorts of lazy, good-for-nothing capitalists. I get money from such people to start the factories. I find people like Miss Dunn's father to work them and keep a tight hand so as to make them pay. Of course, I make them keep it going pretty well, but it's a dog's life and I don't own anything.
But you're making a poor mouth of it to get out of marrying Ellie.
I'm telling the truth about my money for the first time in my life, and it's the first time my word has ever been doubted.
How sad. Why don't you go in for politics, Mr. Mangan?
Go in for politics? Where have you been living? I am in politics.
I'm sure I beg your pardon. I've never heard of you.
Well, let me tell you, Lady Utterword, the Prime Minister of this country asked me to join the government without even going through the nonsense of an election as the dictator of a great public department.
As a conservative or a liberal?
No such nonsense. As a practical businessman. What are you all laughing at?
Alfred,
You who have to get my father to do everything for you.
You who are afraid of your own workmen.
You with whom 3 women have been playing cat and mouse all the evening.
You must have given an immense sum to the party funds, Mr. Mangan.
Not a penny out of my own pocket. The syndicate found the money. They knew how useful I should be to them in the government.
This is most interesting and unexpected, Mr. Mangan. And what have your administrative achievements been so far?
Achievements? Well, I don't know what you call achievements, but I've jolly well put a stop to the games of the other fellas in the other departments. Every man of them thought he was going to save the country all by himself and took me out of the credit, out of my chance of a title. I took good care that if they wouldn't let me do it, they shouldn't do it themselves either. I may not know anything about my own machinery, but I know how to stick a ramrod into the other fellas. Now they all look the biggest fools going.
And in heaven's name, what do you look like?
I look like a fellow that was too clever for all the others, don't I? If that's not triumph of practical business, what is?
Is this England or is it a madhouse?
Do you expect to save the country, Mr. Mangan?
Well, who else will? Will your Mr. Randall save it?
Randall the rotter? Certainly not.
Will your brother-in-law save it with his moustache and his fine talk?
Yes, if they will let me.
Ah, will they let you?
No,
They prefer you.
Very well then. As you're in a world where I'm appreciated and you're not, you'd best be civil to me, hadn't you? Who else is there but me?
There is Hastings. Get rid of your ridiculous sham democracy and give Hastings the necessary powers and a good supply of bamboo to bring the British native to his senses. He will save the country with the greatest ease.
It had better be lost. Any fool can govern with a stick in his hand. I could govern that way. It is not God's way. The man is a numbskull.
The man is worth all of you rolled into one. What do you say, Miss Dunn?
I think my father would do very well if people did not put upon him and cheat him and despise him because he is so good.
I think I see Mazzini Dunn getting into Parliament or pushing his way into the government. We're not there yet, thank God. What do you say, Mrs. Hushabye?
I say it matters very little which of you governs the country, so long as we govern you.
We? But who is we, pray?
The devil's granddaughters, dear, the lovely women.
Fall, fall, I say, and deliver us from the lures of sin.
There seems to be nothing real in this world except my father and Shakespeare. Marcus's tigers are false. Mr. Mangan's millions are false. There is nothing really strong and true about Society but a beautiful brown hair. And Lady Utterwords is too pretty to be real. The one thing that was left to me was the captain's 7th degree of concentration, and that turns out to be
Rum.
A good deal of my hair is quite genuine. The Duchess of Dithering offered me 50 guineas for this under the impression that it was a transformation. But it is all natural, except the colour.
Look here. I'm going to take off all my clothes.
Shame, are you now?
Shame? What shame is there in this house? Let's all strip stark naked. We may as well do the thing thoroughly when we're about it. We've stripped ourselves morally naked. We'll let us strip ourselves physically naked as well and see how we like it. I tell you, I can't bear this. I was brought up to be respectable. I don't mind the women dyeing their hair and the men drinking. It's human nature. But it's not human nature to tell everybody about it. Every time you open your mouth, I go like this, afraid of what will come next. Oh, we'd have any self-respect if we don't keep it up, then we're better than we really are.
I quite sympathize with you, Mr. Mangan. I have been through it all, and I know by experience that men and women are delicate plants and must be cultivated under glass. Our family habit of throwing stones in all directions and letting the air in is not only unbearably rude, but positively dangerous. Still, there is no use in catching physical colds as well as moral ones, so please keep your clothes on.
I'll do as I like, and what you tell me. My child or a grown man, I won't stand this mothering tyranny. I'll go back to the city where I'm respected and made much of.
Goodbye, Alfred. Think of her sometimes in the city. Think of Ellie's youth.
Oh, think of the Siamese eyes and hair.
Think of this garden in which you are not a dog, barking to keep the truth out.
Think of Lady Utterword's beauty, her good sense, her style.
Flatterer. Think, Mr. Mangan, whether you can really do better for yourself elsewhere. That is the essential point, isn't it?
All right. All right, I'm done. Have it your own way. Only leave me alone. I don't know whether I'm on my head or on my heels when you all start on me like this. I'll stay. I'll marry her. I'll do anything but a quiet life. Are you satisfied now?
No, I never really intended to make you marry me, Mr. Mangan. Never in the true depths of my soul. I only wanted to feel my strength, to know that you could not escape if I chose to take you.
What? Do you mean to say you're going to throw me over after my acting so handsome?
I should not be too hasty, Miss Dunn. You can throw Mr. Mangan over at any time up until the last moment. Very few men in his position go bankrupt. You can live very comfortably on his reputation for immense wealth.
I cannot commit bigamy, Lady Utterword.
Bigamy? You're married a while.
Only half an hour ago, I became Captain Shotover's wife.
Nonsense, Ellie, where?
In heaven, where all true marriages are made.
Really, Miss Dunn? Really, Papa?
Told me I was too old. Name a mummy.
Their altar the grassy earth outspread, and their priests are muttering many.
Yes, I, Ellie Dunn, give my broken heart and my strong, sound soul to its natural captain, my spiritual husband and second father.
That's very clever of you, Pettikins, very clever. Alfred, you would never have lived up to Ellie. You must be content with a little share of me.
It isn't kind.
You are well out of it, Mr. Mangan. Miss Dunn is the most conceited young woman I've met since I've come back to England.
Well, Ellie isn't conceited, are you, Pettikins?
I know my strength now, Hassan.
Brazen, I call you. Brazen.
Tut, tut, Alfred, don't be rude. Can't you feel how lovely this marriage idea is made in heaven? Aren't you happy, you and Hector? Open your eyes. Ellie and Addie look beautiful enough to please the most fastidious man. We live and love and have not a care in the world. We women have managed all that for you. Why, in the name of common sense, do you go on as if you're two miserable wretches?
I tell you, happiness is no good. You can be happy when you're only half alive. I'm happier now that I'm half dead than ever I was in my prime. But there is no blessing on my happiness.
Life is a blessing. That is what I want. I now know the real reason why I could not marry Mr. Mangan. There would be no blessing on our marriage. There is a blessing on my broken heart. There is a blessing on your beauty, Sarani. There is a blessing on your father's spirit. Even on the lives of Marcus, there is a blessing. But on Mr. Mangan's money, there is none.
I don't understand a word of that.
Neither do I. But I know it means something.
Don't say there was any difficulty about the blessing. I was ready to get a bishop to marry us.
Oh, you fool, Pettikins.
Do not scorn the man, we are all fools.
Oh, here comes the only man who ever resisted me. What is the matter, Mr. Dunn? Is the house on fire?
Oh no, nothing's the matter. But rather, it's impossible to go to sleep with such an interesting conversation going on under one's window. And on such a beautiful night, too. I just had to come down and join you all. What has it all been about?
Oh, wonderful things, soldier of freedom.
For example, Mangan, as a practical businessman, has attempted to undress himself and has failed ignominiously, whilst you, an idealist, have succeeded brilliantly.
I hope you don't mind my being like this, Mrs.
On
Hushabye.
the contrary, I could wish you always like that.
Your daughter's match is off, Mr. Dunn. It seems that Mr. Mangan, whom we all suppose to be a man of property, owns absolutely nothing.
Well, of course I knew that, Lady Utterword. But if people believe in him and are always giving him money, whereas they don't believe in me and never give me any, well, how can I ask poor Ellie to depend on what I can do for her?
But don't you run away with this idea that I have nothing.
Oh, don't explain. We understand. You have a couple of £1,000 in exchequer bills, 50,000 shares worth half a dozen tenpence, and half a dozen tabloids of cyanide of potassium to poison yourself with when you are found out. That's the reality of your millions.
Oh, no, he's quite honest. The business is a genuine and perfectly legal.
Yeah! Not even the great swindler.
So you think, but I've been too many for some honest men for all that.
There is no pleasing you, Mr. Mangan. You are determined to be neither rich nor poor, honest nor dishonest.
There you go again. Ever since I came into this silly house, I've been made to look like a fool. I'm as good a man in this house as in the city.
Yes, this silly house, this strangely happy house, this agonizing house, this house without foundations, I shall call it Heartbreak House.
Stop, Ellie, I shall howl like an animal. There, you've set out the door.
I like him best when he is howling.
Silence! I say, let the heart break in silence.
Do you accept that name for your house?
This is not my house. It is only my kennel.
We've been too long here. We do not live in this house. We haunt it.
It is dreadful to think how you have been here all these years, while I have been around the world. I escaped young, but it has drawn me back. It wants to break my heart too, but it shan't. I have left you and it behind. It was silly of me to come here. I felt sentimental about Hesione and Papa and the old place. I felt them calling to me.
Oh, what a very natural and kindly and charming human feeling, Lady Utterword.
So I thought, Mr. Dunn. But I know now that it was only the last of my influenza. I found that I was not remembered and not wanted.
You left because you did not want us. Was there no heartbreak in that for your father? You tore yourself up by the roots, and the ground healed up and put forth fresh plants and forgot you. What right had you to come back and probe old wounds?
You are a complete stranger to me at first, Daddy, but now it feels as though you've never been away.
Thank you, Hesione. But the influenza is quite cured. The place may be Heartbreak House to you, Miss Dunn, and to this gentleman from the city who seems to have so little self-control. But to me it is only a very ill-regulated villa, without any stables.
Inhabited by...
A crazy old sea captain and a young singer who adores him.
A sluttish female, trying to stave off a double chin and an elderly spread. Vainly wooing a born soldier of freedom.
Well, Mrs. Hutterby.
Member of His Majesty's government that everybody sets down as a nincompoop. Don't forget him, Lady Utterword.
And a very fascinating gentleman whose chief occupation is to be married to my sister.
All heartbroken imbeciles.
Oh, no. Surely, if I may say so, rather a favourable specimen of what is best in our English culture. You are very charming people. Most advanced, unprejudiced, frank, humane, unconventional, free-thinking, democratic, and, well, everything that is delightful to thoughtful people.
You do us proud, Mazzini.
I'm not flattering, really. When else could I feel perfectly at ease in my pajamas? I sometimes dream that I'm in very distinguished society and suddenly I have nothing on but my pajamas. But sometimes I haven't even pajamas. And I always feel overwhelmed with confusion. Here, I don't mind in the least. It seems quite natural.
An infallible sign that you are not now in really distinguished society, Mr. Dunn. If you were in my house, you would feel embarrassed.
I shall take particular care to keep out of your house, Lady Utterword.
You would be quite wrong. I should make you feel very comfortable. And you should not have the trouble, anxiety of wondering whether you should wear your purple and gold or green and crimson dressing gown to dinner. You complicate life instead of simplifying it by doing these ridiculous things.
Your house is not Heartbreak House, is it, Lady Utterword?
Yet she breaks hearts, easy as her house is. That poor devil with his flute upstairs howls when she twists his heart, just as Mangan howls when my wife twists his.
That is because Randall has nothing to do but have his heart broken. It is a change from having his head shampooed. Catch anyone breaking Hastings' heart.
The numbskull wins after all.
I shall go back to my numbskull with the greatest satisfaction when I am tired of all of you, clever as you are.
I never set out to be clever.
I forgot you, Mr. Mangan.
Well, I don't see that quite either.
You may not be clever, but you are successful, Mr. Mangan.
But I don't want to be regarded merely as a successful man. I have an imagination like anyone else. I have a presentiment.
Oh, Alfred, you are impossible. Here I am devoting myself to you, and you think of nothing but your ridiculous presentiment. Oh, you bore me. Come, talk poetry to me under the stars.
Yes, it's all very well to make fun of me, but if you only knew.
How is this all going to end?
Oh, it won't end, Mr. Hushabye. Life doesn't end, it goes on.
Oh, well, it can't go on forever. I'm always expecting something. I don't know what it is, but life must come to a point sometime.
The point for a young woman of your age is a baby.
Yes, but damn it, I have the same feeling that I can't have a baby.
By a deputy actor.
But I have children. All that is over and done with for me.
And yet I too feel this can't last. We sit here talking and leave everything to Mangan and to chance and to the devil. Think of powers of destruction that Mangan and his mutual admiration gang wield. It's madness. It's like giving a torpedo to a badly brought up child to play at earthquakes with.
I know. I used to think often about that when I was young.
Think? Why? What's the good of thinking? Why didn't you do something about it?
But I did. I joined societies. I made speeches and wrote pamphlets. Well, that was all I could do. But you know, though the people in the societies thought they knew more than Mangan, most of them wouldn't have joined if they had known as much. You see, they had never had any money to handle or any men to manage. Every year I expected a revolution or some frightful smash-up. It seemed impossible that we could blunder and muddle on any longer. But nothing happened. Except, of course, the usual poverty and crime and drink that we're used to. Nothing ever does happen. It's amazing how well we get along, all things considered.
Perhaps somebody cleverer than you and Mr. Mangan was at work all the time.
Perhaps so. Though I was brought up not to believe in anything, I often feel there is a great deal to be said for the theory of an overruling providence after all.
Providence? I meant Hastings.
Oh, I beg your pardon, Lady Utterword.
Every drunken skipper trusts to Providence. But one of the ways of Providence with drunken skippers is to run them on the rocks.
Very true, no doubt, at sea. But in politics, I assure you, they only run into jellyfish. Nothing happens.
At sea, nothing happens to the sea. Nothing happens to the sky. The sun comes up in the east and goes down to the west. The moon changes from a sickle to an arc light and comes later and later until she is lost in the light as other things are lost in the darkness. After the typhoon, the flying fish glitter in the sunlight like birds. It's amazing how they get along, all things considered. Nothing happens, except something not worth mentioning.
And what is that? Oh, Captain, oh, my Captain.
Nothing but the crash of the drunken skipper's ship on the rocks, the tearing of her rusty plates, the splintering of her rotten timbers, the drowning of her crew like rats in a trap.
Moral, don't take rum.
That is a lie, child. Let a man drink 10 barrels of rum a day. He is not a drunken skipper until he is a drifting skipper. Whilst he can lay his course and stand on his bridge and steer it, he is no drunkard. It is the man who lies drinking in his bunk and trusts to Providence that I call the drunken skipper, though he drank nothing but the waters of the River Jordan.
Splendid. And you haven't had a drop for an hour. You see, you don't need it. Your own spirit is not dead.
Echoes. Nothing but echoes. The last shot was fired years ago.
What of this ship that we are all in? This soul's prison that we call England?
The captain is in his bunk, drinking bottled ditch water, and the crew is gambling in the forecastle. She will strike and sink and split. Do you think the laws of God will be suspended in favor of England because you happen to be born in it?
Well, I don't mean to be drowned like a rat in a trap. I still have the will to live. What am I to do?
Do? Nothing simpler. Learn your business as an Englishman.
And what may my business as an Englishman be, pray?
Navigation. Learn it and live, or leave it and be damned.
Quiet, quiet, you'll tire yourself.
I thought all that once, Captain, but I assure you, nothing will happen.
What was that?
Something happening. Breakers ahead.
Who put out that light? Who dare put out that light?
I did, sir. The police have telephoned to say we'll be summoned if we don't put that light out. It can be seen for miles.
It shall be seen for 100 miles.
The police have telephoned, and you're all to go down to the cellars.
Go there yourself, you and all the crew. Batten down the hatches.
And hide beside that coward I married. I'll go on the roof first. There! Mr. Hushabye has turned it on again.
Here. Where's the way to that gravel pit? The book boy says there's a cave in the gravel pit. Them cellars is no use. Where's the gravel pit, Captain?
Go straight on, past the flagstaff, until you fall into it and break your dirty neck.
That was near.
The next one will get us. Stand by, all hands, for judgment.
Oh, my lordy God.
Oh, they're running away. Oh, did you hear the explosions and the sound of the sky? It's magnificent. It's like an orchestra. It's like Beethoven.
By heaven, it is Beethoven.
The light is getting brighter.
Wait, Mr. Hushabye, turning on all the lights in the house and tearing down the curtains.
Ariadne, my son, my precious, go down to the cellars. I beg and implore you, go down to the cellars.
The governor's wife, in the cellars with the servants. Really, Randall.
But what shall I do if you are killed?
Probably be killed too. Now, play your flute to show that you are not afraid and be good. Play us Keep the Home Fires Burning.
They'll keep the home fires burning for us. They're not there.
My lips are trembling, I can't get a sound.
I hope poor Megan is safe.
Oh, he's hiding in the cave in the gravel pit.
My dynamite drew him there. It's the hand of God.
There's not half light enough. We ought to be blazing to the skies.
Set fire to the house, Margaret.
My house, no.
I thought of that, but it would not be ready in time.
The judgment has come. Courage will not save you, but it will show that your souls are still alive.
Shh. Do you hear it now? Oh, it's magnificent.
You could do no good here, Miss Dunn. We of this house are like moths flying into the candle. You should go down into the cellar.
I don't think.
Ella, dear, there is no disgrace in going to the cellar. An officer would order his soldiers to take cover. Mr. Hushabye is behaving like an amateur. Megan and the burglar are acting very sensibly, and it is they who will survive.
Let them. I shall behave like an amateur. But why should you run any risk?
Oh, think of the risk those poor fellows up there are running.
Think of them, indeed. The murdering blackguards, what's next?
Is anyone hurt?
Where did it fall?
Right in the gravel pit. I've seen it. Oh, such a rot. Oh, I've seen it.
One husband down.
30 pounds of good dynamite wasted.
Oh, poor Megan.
Are you immortal that you need pity him? Our turn next.
They've passed us. The danger has passed. Go to bed, Randall.
Turn in all hands. The ship is safe.
Safe?
Yes. Safe. Damnably dull the world has become again suddenly.
I was quite wrong after all. It is we who have survived. And Megan and the burglar.
The two
Burglars.
The two practical men of business.
Both gone. And the poor clergyman will have to get a new house.
What a glorious experience. I hope they come again tomorrow night.
I hope so.